Hello and welcome, DCL fans. We're so back. Wait, does this do what I think it does? Hold up. Oh, what is that? No, it does not. Okay. Today we're going over the semifinals. Very epic. Let me just share this with my Discord server. This thumbnail is too stupid. Bent over baxwards. This is good. So, are you bending over on stream? Did that just get auto-modded? No, I am not. The title caught my eye quickly. Yep. I will not be, but someone else will. A past teammate of mine. I got some pizza rolls. While we wait a little bit for people to join in, I do have a plate of pizza rolls. Haven't joined the stream in a while, but I'm back. We're so back, like we never left. Glopp was supposed to join me, but he's been offline for a while. Gotta do fantasy. Yeah, this week for fantasy, we're just pick a winner for each game, right? This is finals. But anyways, we can look over the semifinals in the meantime. I have another pizza roll. Wait for them to cool down a little bit, so not burning my mouth. This is so epic. Uh-oh. I'm sorry for your loss, Addison. How's fantasy work in finals? Just pick a winner for each game. Don't worry about any like rules or anything, because it's just one series. The last week responses have not been cleared. No. Can I do that right now? Or will that take too much time? One sec. Let me see if it's an easy thing. I think I can clear this right now. One sec. Get the fantasy ready for finals. Do this. And then now I go here and I clear them. Booyah! Alright, should be ready to go for finals. Just pick a winner. All good. You face a Darkrai in Seasonal, that guy's mad annoying. You know, every time I talk to Darkrai, I'm like, wow, this guy is so annoying. No, I'm just joking. Of course. Your team is doing amazing, Addison. I agree. Hypnosis a Chesterberry guy and then shamelessly click again in sleep. Yep. Alright. Well, let's get a little bit of a move on here. So, the... Okay, Sleep Talk is such a troll move, by the way, as like a response to sleep. Because think about it, you get slept, and you're like, oh, it's okay, I have Sleep Talk. So next turn you click Sleep Talk, but you got a one-turn sleep, so you wake up and you Sleep Talk. Then they put you back to sleep. Anyone running Nightmare Darkrai yet, just for the aura points? I ran that once or twice in my seasonal run, like for the spring seasonal, I think it was. Whichever one it was that I had Scovillain in. I used that versus Tinkaton teams. It was pretty good. It worked like last week? Yeah, it did. Alright, so the semifinal matchups, we have Judgment Day versus Infernal Armory. Got Roller K representing the Armory and Bobbert on the other side for Judgment Day. Now here, looking at this matchup, let's see. So, like, Valiant is, as usual, pretty freaking good. The response would maybe be a Moltres with Spadef to take like a T-Bolt after maybe a Moonblast. Like Moonblast and a T-Bolt will like 2-hit KO like a physically defensive Moltres, but a Spadef Moltres will be able to take it. But the problem with running a Spadef Moltres is that it freaking dies to Rock Tomb Ogerpon, you know what I mean? So between the two of them, we're always going to have a really massive threat depending on this Moltres EV spread, right? Because this Ogerpon, very, very good. The only grass resists are Latias and Moltres, which are not exactly the sturdiest of all time. But that's why Bobbert is rocking the Terra Flying on Urshifu, which will help out a little bit for this Ogerpon, which is knockoff for the Latias and Rock Tomb for the Moltres, if I remember correctly, with Swords Dance. I believe Ivy Cudgel last. Alright, so that's like our game plan, right? Either Valiant or Ogerpon will be really hard to stop, so yeah. And like one of them will weaken the Moltres for the other worst case scenario, right? So yeah. So Terra Flying Urshifu Rapid, on the other side obviously Terra Grass Ogerpon. There's a Ceruledge on this team, but we did end up benching that because obviously Quillfish is a little bit annoying for that, Urshifu is a little bit annoying for that. And there's a lot of things that are a little bit annoying for Ceruledge, especially that Darkrai, right? Anyways, yeah. Ogerpon matchup, very nice. Zong lead into the Latias. We're going to see a Shadow Ball immediately as I presume rocks go up. Yep, there's the rocks, but this special defense drop means that Bronzong cannot really safely stay in on this Latias, so it is going to be a pivot out into our Crocodile. I believe Bobbert predicts this, yeah, with a very nice Ice Beam, catches our AV Crook on the switch, and then sets a Reflect with Culver Berry to take only 21% from knockoff, which is not doing very much at all. And now that Latias doesn't have an item, knockoff, like through Reflect, is probably doing around 30 something percent. Nothing too major. And can just trade with Ice Beam and actually just 1v1 the AV Crook with the Latias itself. But rocks are up and our Valiant is now positioned. Who ups baxcalibur? Me. I'm doing it. Alright. So Valiant in position, clicks Moonblast as Moltres comes in, and this reveals Spadef, if I remember correctly, or at least not fully physically defensive at the very least. So T-Bolt is not a KO from here. So I'm going to switch into Tentacruel, and our Tentacruel's Rocky Helmet, which is going to put Moltres in T-Bolt range now, if I remember correctly. Like, Valiant is really strong. Goes for a flip turn, but Latias is actually slower than our Tentacruel, which means we can get a very safe pivot into the Bronzong and click Hypnosis. Shout out to Kaif. Moltres doing its one job, literally. And a nice switch to Valiant, but the Iron Treads comes in, and with the Reflect Up, is able to take even a Life Orb CC from this range, obviously. Could as well be Choppleberry on top, so Valiant doesn't really want to stay in on a potential Heavy Slam. But at the same time, this is giving up a free Rapid Spin, and now this Bronzong is not really going to be able to get up rocks again, so it just gets a little bit of chip, stalls out the screen turns. Yeah, TSP. It can happen. Alright, so Valiant finds its way in. No more Reflect Up, but Latias comes in. We actually switch to Dragonite, trying to get maybe a setup opportunity on this sleeping Latias, which... Okay, this Treads ends up being Shuka Berry with Rapid Spin, so it breaks the multi-scale, and now Ice Spinner should knock it out, but we do have the Yachi Berry on deck, and goes for a second Dragon Dance, so now going to outspeed the Treads, goes for the Earthquake, and now we have +2/+2 Dragonite. Very scary situation for Bobbert. Goes to Quillfish to get the Intimidate off, but Earthquake is going to do so much to this, 99%. If that killed, man, this game goes a whole lot easier. But Quillfish does survive on 1 HP, gets a Citrus, which, shout out J Ricky, and goes for the Haze. Gets rid of our boots. We go for Dragon Dance, just to test the water, see are you going to flip turn, which, you know, he ends up doing. And now Urshifu comes in, goes for the Terra Flying, but there's a pretty safe click here, guaranteed damage, because we have Rock Slide Earthquake. Rock Slide obviously for the Moltres. Could click it here on the Urshifu, but E-Speed will cover if it tears or not, whereas, you know, the two coverage moves will not. So gets a crit E-Speed, which is pretty nice. And Urshifu goes for a Terra Blast. And now he goes into his Valiant and gets completely destroyed by the surprise Scarf Urshifu. Now this was a big deal, because if you look at Valiant, right, Moltres is in range, Darkrai, you know, not in range, but there's like a full HP Tentacruel, and obviously Ogerpon is faster and can even set up on Darkrai with our set. Latias obviously in range, coefficient range, so this Valiant potentially kills 4 Pokemon from here, but it goes down to the surprise Scarf, the grand reveal. Snipes our best Pokemon in the end game, or at least one of them, right? Because Ogerpon from this range, still a giant threat, right? If we're able to get a Swords Dance on the Ogerpon, Moltres dies to Rock Slide, Quillfish obviously dies, everything still dies to a +2 Ogerpon, so it's not over yet. But it is pretty challenging, right? Goes to Tentacruel, which maybe you argue you should have done in the first place, because Tentacruel doesn't really do too much besides check the Urshifu, but honestly, I get it. Now Tentacruel comes in, goes for a Surf, gets the Urshifu in range of the Ogerpon, but can't exactly use this as setup opportunity, right? It's locked into a Terra Blast Flying, so just gonna knock this out. But unfortunately does have to Terra to outspeed the Scarf Urshifu, which means we've lost Defiant. So now can go Quillfish, get that Intimidate off, and now kind of a rock and a hard place, right? If you try to Swords Dance on this Quillfish, a Haze is coming, and without the speed boost, it's really challenging to get through that Darkrai, right? So kind of has to just take the kill here, be -1, but it's still not over, believe it or not. So the Moltres versus our Ogerpon, if it is just a standard Moltres with Flamethrower, like a defensive spread, doesn't actually knock out our Ogerpon all the time. I believe it actually just doesn't knock us out. So this could be our Swords Dance opportunity. At +1, Moltres will die, Darkrai will die, Latias will die. Goes for the Swords Dance. Now it's +1 versus this Moltres, but it reveals Brave Bird, which was a roll on our Ogerpon, but it was favorable for the Moltres if I'm remembering correctly. So did come down to a roll at the end, but obviously great game to start off the series. Really well played from Bobbert. Roller, maybe if we save the Valiant, right? But obviously expecting Scarf is a little bit of a tough ask right here. I mean, it makes sense, but also it's also very reasonable to just be, you know, Terra Blast Flying with like a Swords Dance set, something like that. Totally reasonable. Now that this Darkrai draft will no longer be used versus you guys, I can say Lucas was Scarf Quill versus you, so we won regardless of Haze, or Haze versus Hydra. Okay, sure. Yeah. Alright, now Glopp versus Addison. Now this is a game. Does Tenta live crit even? Crit what? Crit Terra Blast? Yeah, it did. Alright, so Glopp versus Addy. We see two of the best Sword Shield players going at it, especially like considering in this DCL, these are, I think, de facto the top 2 Swish players. So, should be pretty good. Now, going into this matchup, we were really scared of this Gourgeist in particular. This team actually struggles quite a lot with a Moonblast Gourgeist, believe it or not. Kind of came up with a set Will-O-Wisp, kind of hits everything, and then the only thing that really Gourgeist needs to worry about is a sub Zygarde, and Moonblast with some special attack EVs will always break Zygarde's max HP subs. And not only that, it'll hit Keldeo and Weavile as well for pretty good chip. Leech Seed, very annoying for this team. Will-O-Wisp, very annoying for this team. So, like, this Gourgeist, one of the biggest defensive threats in this matchup. Coco, obviously, quite annoying into a team where the ground type is Zygarde. Obviously, Hydreigon's pretty good as well. But yeah, we have our own threats as well. This Zygarde, pretty good. The Weavile, obviously going to be threatening a sweep in the end game. Swords Dance sets versus this team are very strong. Keldeo as well, pretty decent breaker as long as that Starmie is able to be taken advantage of by the Weavile, right? If you force a recover on the Starmie, get that Weavile in for free. Unless it's Colberberry T-Wave, that's going to be really a not great situation for Addison. So let's get into the game. Just got here who's winning. Currently in the watch party, it is 1-0 up for Judgment Day against Infernal Armory. Alright. So Uxie leads off into the Skarmory. We're going to see a Rocks trade immediately, and U-turn to break that Sturdy. Gets revealed Rocky Helmet here, a little bit of chip on the Uxie as Crobat makes his way in, but a Whirlwind catches the Crobat on the rocks, and now that Crobat's going to be coming in at 50%, which is obviously not ideal, but I mean, it's not all bad. The Keldeo gets a free switch in. Skarmory does not have the Sturdy anymore, so threatening a Specs Pump, which would knock it out. So obviously the flip turn on the Starmie, which also is Rocky Helmet, aka the best defensive item ever. But now we know it's not Colbur Berry, and this is kind of what we want, right? Weavile positioning. That being said, it is early game. It's a full HP throw and a full HP Skarm, basically. So I'm going to make the double to Crobat, trying to catch both the Skarm or the throw. So this works out pretty well. Now, could potentially get a Defog if we don't want to play with Rocks Up, or just go for a Heat Wave, trying to threaten the Skarmory, but a really smart Hydreigon pivot, and now a Draco Meteor is coming out. Does 33% to Melmetal, which I believe we're like very SPDF on this thing, so that might be a Specs Hydreigon, I'm not too sure. Not super familiar with Hydreigon Melmetal calcs off the top of my head. But now, with the protective pads, not really too worried about this Rocky Helmet, which obviously there's 2 helmets on this team, so really nice to have the pads at this moment. Can spread a little bit of T-Wave on this Skarmory. And now with the Double Iron Bash having a flinch chance and the Para chance, it's actually quite favorable for Melmetal to come out on top. As we see a switch to throw, probably expecting a Thunder Punch, but no such luck. Just going to get Double Iron Bash, which is looking like it might be a 2 KO depending on rolls. 25 seems pretty low. We see a knockoff immediately. But will this Double Iron Bash 2 KO? Not quite. Thanks to the leftovers, throw able to hang on, but now gets a Rest Talk Sleep, and Thunder Punch is going to knock this out very comfortably. So Melmetal doing its job, breaking through a little bit of this team, spreading some Para, getting through that throw, which is really nice for the Weavile, right? Now Hydreigon's in, presumably a Fire Blast or a Dark Pulse, sure, Flamethrower. 16 to the Keldeo, I believe this is Assault Vest Keldeo from that damage revealed. We go for a Secret Sword, and now this Starmie probably going to recover, so going to take that as an opportunity to get into the Weavile, but a Rapid Spin instead. Either way, Weavile finds its way onto the field, but no Rocks pressure is going to be annoying. Uxie can get them up versus a number of Pokemon though. Not the end of the world. Now Zygarde is going to come in on the Skarmory. As a switch to Koko comes out, really nice play from Glopp, getting the ground type in, not having to risk switching in on a Dazzling Gleam, and now we're going to see Gourgeist come in on the 1000 Arrows. 9%, that's a bulky Gourgeist for sure, but goes for a sub on the Will-O-Wisp, and it looks like this Gourgeist isn't going to have the Moonblast for this situation. We see a Coil, and our Zygarde obviously is not going to be broken in the sub with a foul play or anything, but a Curse actually goes through the sub, so it's not Moonblast, but it does the same job, right? Covers like the sub Coil Zygarde sets, which are a huge threat for the rest of Addison's team. Now Crobat going to take the free switch in on the Forced Synthesis, and now I presume, okay, we're going to see a nasty plot. Is this Scarf Hydreigon? It is not, but Sludge Bomb does not KO, just barely. So it is going to be a bit of an HP trade, but not one that Glopp was hoping for a dead Hydreigon there, but I don't really know the role on that one. Maybe Sludge Bomb was more likely to kill than a Hurricane is to hit. We might not even have Hurricane, I don't remember. This was like a week ago, so... Alright. Weavile in, goes for the triple axle, and thanks to the knockoff earlier, Skarm no longer has its helmet, and is going to get 2 KO'd by this triple axle. If I didn't stream last week and my car broke down, I think I'm seeing a correlation. You got me, man. I was so bored from not streaming that I just broke your car. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. Alright, so now Koko's going to come in to revenge kill the Weavile, at least force it out, right? Uxie going to be the switch in of choice as a Volt Switch comes out. Really nice Volt Switch there. Not expecting the Zygarde to come in, which makes sense. Now Hydreigon gets another opportunity to click a Specs Draco Meteor, and now kind of out of switch-ins, going to have to sack a Pokemon, and it's going to be the Uxie. So we're going to be playing without Rocks the rest of the game. That being said, this Weavile is looking really scary, right? Can't exactly switch in on a triple axle at this point. Goes for a Swords Dance as Hydreigon just stays in, and goes for a Dragon Tail. It's not choiced at all, actually. And that Dragon Tail is a really massive reveal, because +2 Weavile could potentially force Ice Shard Chip on the Koko at the very least. And then once that's kind of taken care of, this Zygarde might be a pretty big threat in the endgame. Who's to say? I like the stream to keep your car from breaking down. Yep, this guy's got it. So true. So Zygarde comes in off the back of a flip turn, gets some leftovers, and cancels out the rocks. But now Starmie's in, goes for a Scald, which actually doesn't 2-hit KO Melmetal, barely it looks like. And now we're going to see a Gourgeist Super come in on this Earthquake. Now double Iron Bash, and it's a third Rocky Helmet revealed. So we see Rocky Helmet Starmie, Rocky Helmet Gourgeist, and Rocky Helmet Skarm, which does make a lot of sense into a Melmetal Weavile type of team, right? Obviously triple Axle, double Iron Bash, really big helmet bait. That's why we had the protective pads on the Melmetal, but it was knocked off in the course of the game. So that Rocky Helmet doing its job, knocks out the Melmetal. Now Weavile comes in, goes for a knockoff, gets rid of the Gourgeist. So now Zygarde is a little bit freed up, but there is still the potential of like an Ice Beam Starmie, Dazzling Gleam Coco. When you see an Ice Shard, chip this Coco down a little bit as a Volt Switch to Starmie. And if you're doing this, it's probably going to be Ice Beam, right? Prevent the setup on this Zygarde. Now we see a recover on the Glare. So now this Glare, this Starmie is going to be paralyzed. We're going to see a sub fishing for the full parrot, gets it immediately. We're going to see a Coil trying to break through the Starmie. Does it have Ice Beam? It does have Ice Beam. But that does mean it's kind of walled by Keldeo, but at the same time, Keldeo is walled by Starmie, so a little bit of a stalemate there. Fishes for some more full paras. If he can get one more, then potentially this 1,000 arrows could be the end of Addison, but goes for the 1,000 arrows here. Is gonna 2-hit KO, but no full para. And now Keldeo comes in. Now was this Scarf Keldeo? I think I said Assault Vest earlier, but maybe I think I said Assault Vest thinking the Hydreigon was Specs, but then it would revealed not Specs. So I think this is probably a Scarf Keldeo, right? I'm gonna go for a Surf, baiting for some full paras. Now I would like to note, this is Natural Cure Starmie, by the way. Just throwing that out there. Just throwing that into the universe. This is a Natural Cure Starmie. You could just switch out here, never get full parrot again, guaranteed win. But goes for a Scald instead. Don't reveal that. Goes for Recover. Look. This Starmie probably 1v1s this Keldeo anyways, right? Or we're totally fine. It goes for Recover. We're at full HP. Kelly's at 16. Nothing could go wrong here, right? Oh, there's a para. There's a crit. There's a para. There's a crit. There's a para. And will Coco die? Yeah. That one deserves a pizza roll. Coco had a 50% shot to live, tunneled on just likely when it was Starmie with the Coco bailing in, which obviously makes 0 sense. I get it. I get it, dude. No. We've all been there. If you haven't been there, you haven't been playing long enough. What is this thumbnail? The man of the hour has arrived. I thought this thumbnail was funny. First ever moment like that, yeah. Sign to retire, right? Tactical throws so that Army uses all their luck in one game, surely. We'll see if that strat pays off. Alright, game 3, the series is tied up 1-1. Now we have Aster J versus Jake. Not from State Farm, but, you know. Beso, can I get Beso? We can have so many Besos. Guys, like the stream for more Besos. Your strat the last 3 weeks has been a lose early and it's worked every time. Some say that's not the best strat ever, but to each their own. Alright, we got Aster versus Jake, Gen 7. Both these guys, very good at Gen 7, so it should be a fantastic game. Remembering back to this game, I believe this is a like a swords or bulk up, protect Pangoro with lefties, trying to just outlast whatever's in front of it, because obviously none of these Pokemon really hit Pangoro very hard except for the Klefki, which Klefki is kind of taken advantage of by a couple guys here, namely that Diggersby, right? So that combination was pretty strong in Mox. This Bronzong is a little bit quirky. I don't know if it gets revealed in this game, but we'll see. This Arrow is kind of this weird like defensive offensive hybrid kind of thing, where it's like bulky defog, but also hits pretty hard into Jake's team still. Latios is Scarf, I believe. Coco is also Scarf, so a little bit of double Scarf. The Latios is Scarf Trick, so if we're able to trick something like the Klefki or maybe the Zapdos, or there's also Slowbro on this team, which could have been a potential trick target, then that aids our other Pokemon quite a bit. And then Coco's still there to have a Scarfer faster than Lopunny and stuff. Get into the game. Alright, Bronzong going to lead off into the Zapdos, probably just going to be free rocks here, right? I believe this thing has rocks. Yeah, there's the rocks as Garchomp comes in, but now it's just going to be a Calm Mind opportunity versus this Garchomp. Goes for a Fire Blast, but that's doing absolutely nothing. We see a Psyshock also doing absolutely nothing. Shout out to Bronzong. He is terrible. But Psyshock is going to force some chip on the Klefki now. Spikes are going up, but we see a Trick here. Gets rid of the item on Klefki. We have Trick Toxic Orb. Basically to cover for a Lum Recycle Calm Mind Slowbro, which this team kind of got 6-0'd by in Mox. Was that the most likely set? No, but like this Trick had a bunch of different applications as well. I think maybe he was expecting a switch into like Zapdos or something on that turn, but still getting rid of the Ayapapa on Klefki is pretty nice, effectively cutting 50% from its HP pool, and also giving a potential 50 to Bronzong if rolls go our way. And now Lopunny's going to pivot in here, but HJK is going to knock us out at 48. I'm not sure if that was a roll. I don't really know 100%. But now Aerodactyl comes in to get the Mega off. And with the threat of Aerial Ace, is just going to go for the defog. Gets rid of the screens, the spikes, and the rocks all at once. Now Wing Attack is going to 2-hit KO the Garchomp. No Rocky Helmet to be seen. And with a defog here, going to guarantee no rocks up. That being said, Jake can kind of just Stealth Rock a bunch of times. So maybe like if you're willing to lose the Garchomp, you can guarantee rocks up, kind of. But actually does not go for that line. Instead, takes the free switch to Zapdos, and now Rock Slide is going to be a 2-hit KO. As we see a Toxic come out, puts our arrow on a timer. Now going to double to Diggersby. Now that the whole set has been revealed, I think he did this expecting the Klefki to want to come in, because it does wall our coverage. There's no Earthquake, right? But Jake, one step ahead, goes hard into the Lopunny, which is kind of an incredible move here. Covers the Rock Slide if the Zapdos are like aimed at the Zapdos, but also covers a switch to Diggersby trying to predict the Klefki. So really intelligent switch from Jake here, and he's going to get rewarded with basically a KO or close to it, right? Latios comes in, takes 44, and that chip is going to be really big, right? Now we're going to force it out with the threat of Scarf Psychic, but now a Spike might be going up here. No, a Play Rough on the switch to Diggersby. So Diggersby finds his way in, could just go for an Earthquake, goes for Swords Dance instead as Garchomp comes in, takes the Quick Attack, but goes down obviously. So no rocks for the rest of the game unless you have it on Piloswine and Garchomp, which is not out of the question, right? But now Scolopede's going to come in, and Scolipede, pretty dangerous, right? At +2, it kind of kills the whole team. So Aster kind of forced to stay in and just attack this. We are Adamant Silk Scarf +2. Scolipede, it is pretty naturally bulky on the physical side, but this is a very strong Pokemon. Where you see it does 89% as Aqua Tail does actually knock us out, which makes sense as coverage for the Aerodactyl and the Diggersby all in one. Now Coco comes in, it is Scarf, but the Protect on the Scolipede is going to mean that with another speed boost it is faster than Coco, which is just going to die. Maybe we didn't need to sack our Coco here. Hindsight, of course, but a lot of Scolipedes in this matchup. For Mox, we're running Sword Dance 3 attacks, so Aster may have been banking on that in this situation. Maybe he sees that he's already behind, maybe just trying to not take any damage on the Pangoro, which is kind of the win condition, but I think kind of forced to take that chip on the Pangoro. Goes to Aerodactyl actually, which is going to just get Z-watered. and die. So eventually we're going to have to take damage on this Pangoro. He tries everything in his power to avoid it, but eventually it is going to happen. Goes for a bulk up though, so at least we're getting a little bit set up, but at the same time we're taking more damage, risking poison jab poisons all the time. Will this Pangoro be able to find enough value here? Goes for a Drain Punch, knocks out the Scolipede. Now here's an interesting thing, right? The Lopunny is at 55, which means it can afford to HJK into Protect one time. But it's also pretty likely to go for a Fake Out here, trying to cover the Protect. If a Protect comes out, it's a pretty free HJK the next turn. This thing could be Quick Attack, so pivoting Latios on a HJK is not exactly the greatest play ever, but goes to it on a Fake Out. And it looks like from that range, Quick Attack might not KO, so maybe Jake doesn't want to risk it at this point, which is fair enough. Psychic is going to 2-hit KO Klefki from this range, but Latios is going to get Toxic, and I think that should be the nail in the coffin at this point. Basically no way for Lopunny to lose this one outside of maybe dodging an HJK with a Pangoro, which could happen, right? But it is not going to. Pangoro goes down, and Jake ends up taking the game. Now the series is up 2-1 for Judgment Day. DCL stream over DFL stream? I'm so sorry, man. I do plan on covering the DFL playoffs, though, so maybe next week, right? How bad did mocks go? They were like mixed at the beginning, but this team was pretty consistent into all the mock pace that we had. Obviously, Jake came prepared, though. Played quite well, and then obviously Aster kind of threw away 2 mons at the end to the Scolipede, which maybe he didn't need to. Like, imagine this end game here, but you still have an Aerodactyl and a Scarf Coco. Maybe it's not over, right? Scolipede respect button. Yeah, Scolipede has been pretty interesting here this season. Definitely a little bit slept on right now. Wait, why is Money Guy having nightmares right now? I missed that. Alright. So now, we have J. Ricky versus Lax. It is Money Guy's birthday. You remembered. Alright, so this team... what was this team? I'm trying to remember. I believe this was some kind of setup in Amorous. It's Terra Dark. Ooh, excuse me. So Superpower and Terra Blast coverage kind of hits the whole team. And something that we notice is that Enamorous with a defense boost is really hard for Lax's team to kill. Because all of the Pokemon that are faster than Enamorous, being the Roaring Moon only, is physical, right? So getting some defense boosts. And then I believe this is Rest Talk as well. It's a little bit of recovery mixed in, makes us not weak to stuff like T-Wave, Toxic, all that sort of thing. Should be able to outlast a lot of Pokemon if we're playing this correctly. And then what else was on our team? I don't really remember too much else. I believe this Great Tusk was physically defensive to handle the Roaring Moon. The Rotom, I don't remember. Honestly, this was a week ago. Let's get into it. Terra types, Dark Enam, and then on the other side, Terra Ghost Hydrapple. There you go. You're gonna see it, Terra Ghost immediately, meaning that it could be a game plan to try to spike stack, but there's a Court Change on the other side, so maybe a little bit unlikely. Now Overquill gonna come in on this Terra Blast Ghost, does a lot of damage, but gonna dish out a Crunch to the Landorus, which does quite a lot. Now Rotom is actually Scarf here. Makes sense. Scarf Rotom into Landorus, you know, quite good. But it's actually Pasho Landorus, so it's gonna live the Hydro Pump, but Rotom actually lives in Earth Power, which I was super surprised to see that. And it looks like Lax was as well. Kinda crazy. Wasn't J. Ricky the guy who was begging L5 to ban me for being a hater? I don't remember that. Maybe you remember it? I don't know. Another Hydro Pump comes out, forces a switch out into the Quillfish, and probably going to see a Spike go up. No, we see a Flip Turn immediately into Hydrapple. And now we see a Light Screen from the Jirachi. And this could be a potential avenue to get our Enamorous in. But Overquill is going to come in instead, and gets crit by a Terra Blast, which kind of sucks. But the Quillfish is going to come in on the Overquill as a Destiny Bond comes out, trying to catch the Hydrapple, but Lax not going to get fooled. Doubles into Metagross and takes quite a lot of damage from that Crunch. but Bullet Punch is going to pick it off. Makes sense. Now Cinderace comes in, obviously threatening a Pyro Ball, as Qwilfish is going to come in, and we just go for a U-turn. Is this Rocky Helmet here? No, it is not. And Rotom gets a safe switch in, and Landorus could block a Volt Switch, but J-Ricky reads that, goes straight for the Hydro Pump, and now there's no longer a Volt Switch immunity. So if this Rotom is able to survive coming in again, it's free Volts for the rest of the game. Having said, it's at 9%. So, yeah, and it looks like this is Scarf Qwilfish outspeeds the Rotom itself, which was also Scarf. Alright, now Cinderace comes in on the Metagross, goes for a Pyro Ball, forces Qwilfish in, but we know this is Scarf now, so not going to go for a U-turn, just hard to Jirachi to take the flip turn, but now Roaring Moon gets the entry point, and now it's probably just going to be a Great Tusk here, which Knockoff comes out, gets Rocky Helmeted, and now what? We're going to see Acrobatics, as Great Tusk just goes for a Knockoff, trying to predict the Hydrapple for coming in, but if we were trying to do that, probably just Rocks was better, and if we wanted to hit the Stay In, obviously, Close Combat or Body Press, whichever one we had. So Great Tusk does go down to the next Acrobatics. Now Cinderace comes in, gonna force out this Roaring Moon with a threat of a U-turn as Metagross comes in to absorb that. Jirachi in, gets the Reflect up, and lives the Earthquake, so dual screens are gonna be going up here. Oh, but they're not. We go for an Encore instead. So no Light Screen, but still not unreasonable. Go to Enamorous, get knocked off on the Chesto Berry, but Superpower is going to start to get the ball rolling, but Roaring Moon actually lives, which is kind of crazy. Now goes for the Terra Dark on, you know, a potential Iron Head, just gets the +2, and now how is Lax going to break this Enamorous? Revealed Chesto Berry, Superpower, so Terrapagos comes in, and here's like, okay, if we had the Light Screen up, this was really dangerous, but going for the Encore there did not end up working out at the very least. So now Terrapagos is able to come in, gets super powered, so it is going to break the Terra Shell. This is a 2-hit KO very easily on the Terrapagos, but Terra Starstorm with the spin as well, just doing a little bit of extra chip. Namor's going to go down to 1 HP. He goes for the rest. Right now, the only win condition for J-Ricky is to rest up and then Sleep Talk a superpower here, because this Terra Starstorm is doing so much damage. We can't really end up at 1 HP because Bullet Punch obviously revenges and a Scarf Qwilfish. So he has to get the superpower on this turn right now. And if he does, it's looking like a very possible endgame. See a Starstorm to 65. We see a Sleep Talk. What does he get? He gets Rest. And that's going to be the game because Terrapagos now completely sweeps. Yeah, I don't know if Terra Blast would have been enough. I think you did need a superpower, so it's a 1 out of 3. Obviously favors Lax, but at the end of the day, he did end up getting it. And that's going to be the game. J-Ricky is not him. Hey, don't say that about my boy. Alright, so now the series is going to be 3-1 for Judgment Day. They are absolutely cooking us in the neutral. What can I say? There would have been another 1 out of 3 with Apple, right? Yeah, I think so as well. But if we had that light screen up, all I'm going to say, would have looked a lot different at the end there. Alright, now we have AM22 versus Rai. Now Rai, low-key on an MVP run, like MVP caliber run, with this season, recently as well in DPL, and as well he also won the recent Oras Cup. So this guy has been living and breathing Oras Draft League for the past year or so, and he's been really popping off in everything that he's really touched. So it's going to be a tough matchup for AM, but you know, AM no slouch in his own right. Should be a pretty good game. As we go ahead and lead off with Hydreigon versus Cofagrigus. This is Gen 6, of course. We're going to see a Clefairy pivot in on the Taunt. So Taunt trying to prevent like a T-Spike from going up, which obviously Rai's team very weak to T-Spikes. Cofagrigus is actually carrying them, so yeah, but obviously in front of Hydreigon, not the best opportunity to set them up. Another thing to note, Rai's team does not have any removal, so once these T-Spikes go up, they're going to be up for good. So Rai's basically playing in a way to always deny the Cofagrigus from getting the T-Spikes. Now Piloswine comes in, potentially to get up rocks. We go to Ferrothorn just to trade hazards, right? Because trading hazards in this matchup is really favorable for AM22. Considering that Rai's team is very weak to hazards, once you start layering up the spikes, the rocks, and the T-spikes, with no removal, we want to start getting these layers up quite a lot. What did you just call me? Did I call you something? I don't know. Okay, but here, Ferrothorn stays in on the Glade, takes a Fire Punch, and just drops in one, which was definitely a questionable moment, I'm not gonna lie. We really needed those spikes up to pressure Rise team long term, but now the Ferrothorn is just completely dead, just off rip. Right, Glade coming in, I really think like Clefairy, or even just going Gyarados would have been probably a lot better, right? Could pivot to the Lando, no one is Ice Punching in that situation. But yeah, unfortunately our Ferrothorn goes down immediately on turn 5. Gets a little bit of Iron Barbs, but definitely not worth the price. Oh, I get it, because I was saying Cofagrigus. Ah. Clever, clever. And now this Glade also reveals Taunt, so it's going to further delay our Toxic Spikes, and that's really rough here, because now Sylveon can come in. We're Hex as our only attack, so with no poison, that's doing very little damage. Now Clefairy comes in, but Yawn Sylveon is going to be very annoying here. Obviously we have to switch on hazards a bunch of times. We only have one Magikarp mon, so something is going to have to take rocks, or this Clefairy is going to go to bed, which obviously can't really afford that to happen with the Hydreigon there being such a big threat. But Cofagrigus comes in, it's Spadef, and Hyper Voice reveals to be offensive investment, if I remember correctly. Like, this shouldn't have 2-hit KO'd if he was like a bulky, like, Wish Protect Sylveon, but because it's offensive, that is going to 2-hit KO our Cofagrigus quite easily. The now Clefairy going to pivot in once more, 38%. And now threatening something like a T-Wave, which would kind of disrupt the Sylveon. Going to take it as opportunity soft boiled, and now goes for a Wish here. And now with a Wish in the air, tries to get the Gyarados in to heal it back up after rocks. But Rai is so good for this. Goes for the Roar, catches our Gyarados, but at the same time, rolls the Cofagrigus, which is really fortunate for AM22. This is basically the only thing that he could get T-Spikes up versus, and now they're going to be going up. And now with the T-Spikes pressure, it's a little bit more of a game now. Now, what's going to switch into the Sylveon, though, right? It looks like it's going to be the Entei. Our Entei is Assault Vest, so it's not going to be taking too much from the Hyper Voice itself, but these rocks, man, those rocks are really adding up. And now with the Sacred Fire coming out, this Sylveon might be able to take this and go for a Yawn, which would be pretty big. Gets the burn immediately, but it's a 50-50, so not exactly hacks. Now, will this Entei go to bed? We see a Protect here, and Entei will be going to bed here from the Yawn. The Sylveon is burned. Does it have Wish? About to find out. Looks like it doesn't have Wish, because I think you would probably go for it that turn if you had it. So the Sylveon is going to go pretty low in exchange for chipping this Entei into Rock's range. Entei going to wake up here, goes for the Iron Head, knocks out the Sylveon. Probably HP Fire. Yeah, HP Fire for the Ferrothorn makes a lot of sense. Now Thundurus in is going to take this big E-Speed, which is quite impactful because Thundurus is like really threatening to a lot of our team. But now this chip, he might be leading towards a Lander sweep in the endgame if Rai is not careful. Now Piloswine going to come in on this Clefairy, takes the rocks and the T-Spikes, catches a double to Lando. You know, Rai is just too good with it, I'm not going to lie. So get some value out of the Piloswine, force a switch. Cofag's going to come in on the Ice Shard. And now, I believe this is Rest Chesto Berry, so we're going to go ahead and get this all the way back up to full. And our last move is Calm Mind, if you're wondering, so could potentially set up, but at the same time, Hydreigon is at full HP right there. No real point setting up when that thing can always check us. Forces out into Clefairy as a Taunt comes out. Now Hydreigon going to go for a U-turn here. Gets a crit, not really too impactful. Now Piloswine's going to come in on a Moonblast, is going to die to the T-Spike. Okay, we're starting to take some KOs, but at the same time, our team is looking a little bit battered and bruised. Particularly the Gyarados, which is going to switch in on the Metagross Meteor Mash, which does 28%, which is so much damage. And now the Gyarados is going to force this out into Hydreigon, as I believe we just go for a Crunch here. Yeah, and this Hydreigon reveals the greatest defensive item ever, Rocky Helmet. And now Gyarados is very much in range of the next hit. in range of rocks as well. Goes for a Dragon Dance, predicting a Roost. Correctly gets that. Now, here's the thing, right? We have Ice Fang, but this is like a very bulky Hydreigon. 14 from a Mega Gyarados Crunch. This is like max physically defensive. So even a +1 Ice Shard, or not Ice Shard, Ice Fang is just going to get roosted off. So it's kind of a little bit of game of cat and mouse here, where Rye doesn't want to let this Gyarados set up to the moon, right? +6. Obviously going to knock out the Hydreigon. That's a pretty favorable trade considering the state of the Lando endgame, right? But at the same time, right, it's pretty hard to click Dragon Dance 6 times in front of a Hydreigon that can kill us. And here, Rye actually does make the safe play, go for a Roar. And now revealing all 4 moves, which means no Dark Pulse. Which means now, if you look at it, maybe a Last Mon Cofagrigus with Calm Mind Rest may be able to break through this Hydreigon, because obviously the only attacking move is U-Turn. That being said, Taunt has a lot of PP, Roost has a lot of PP, probably able to stall out our Hexes, but at the same time, you do have to play for your outs, right? The 2 outs here being Scarf Lando endgame, and a Calm Mind Cofagrigus endgame. Obviously, Clefairy is not winning this, but Clefairy is able to force out the Hydreigon at least. We're going to see a switch to Metagross, and Metagross is looking very scary here, but it is going to get T-Waved, but obviously Rye came prepared with the Lumberry. And now Landers is going to switch in on a Meteor Mash. I believe at this point AM is just going for a dodge, because you kind of need something at this point. Getting a free switch to Lando would be pretty nice here. And we're going to see it. This is going to force it out into the Thundy. I believe we just see a U-turn here though, so knocks out the Thundurus, and now there's only 1 ground immunity, being the Hydreigon. Metagross, if it's not Bullet Punch, is probably in range of Earthquake, and obviously the Gallade after a T-Spike and Rocks, probably not too far off as well. So a Scarf Lando endgame looking potentially possible. Hard to say. I want to say that Rye is never going to give up the Hydreigon too easily, but at the same time, maybe there's a world. We're going to see a switch to Cofagrigus once again, you know, trying to get a little bit of offensive pressure going, but with a +1 immediately from the Meteor Mash, I mean, even then, right, Hex is not one-shotting this Metagross, and the HP on this doesn't really matter, it just needs to be alive for the Clef. And now this Meteor Mash connects, knocks out the Cofagrigus, and now it's pretty simple. Landers comes in. It's a really free Hydreigon at this point, right? Or I guess you could even sack Gallade if you wanted to. It could have been dangerous if it went Cofagrigus after the U-turn. Yes and no, right? I think that with Hex being our only attacking move, right, 16 PP, I feel like Taunt Hydreigon with Roost is able to just PP stall that, force us to struggle at the end of the day, right? It doesn't feel too dangerous for Rye, I don't think. But now Hydreigon comes in. Obviously no more Cofagrigus to check. Can just go to this. If U-turn is clicked, we die to Helmet. Maybe the only out there was like a Stone Edge on the switch, and then Earthquake cleanup with like a crit on Gallade. But that's also like banking on no Bullet Punch, no Shadow Sneak, no anything. Which I don't know how likely that is, and yeah. Definitely still in Rye's favor, yeah. And yeah, as AM said, really well played from Rye. And I agree. Rye's just too good, it was never playable. Yeah. I mean, this was really a great prep. We definitely saw bulkier styles in mocks, right? Which this team was a bulkier style with this Hydreigon set. This Sylveon was like really good though. And obviously the Fire Punch Gallade, catching out our Ferrothorn immediately, pretty huge. Yeah. So, yeah. What can I say? Rye is just the ORAS GOAT at the moment. Insane prep, the execution generally on another level too. Yeah, this was just a great game from Rye. What can you do? The Sylveon was a cook? Yeah. Agree. Really great. And now we go to my game versus Agency. Now, for the stakes here, we're down 4-1. So already we have to win out for a tie. And if I lose this game, we're out of the playoffs just entirely. And obviously Agency is not going to make this easy for me. A little bit of background into my prep here. I have a physically defensive Trapagos. I've been really loving this set recently, especially versus teams like this one with an Iron Treads, with a Gouging Fire, with like, obviously the Pheasantipity is able to wall out a lot of offensive Terapagos sets, as well as stuff like the Keldeo. Landing a Toxic on all of those guys, well, the Keldeo and the Gouging Fire, really impactful. as well as, you know, just packing an Earth Power to hit all of the toxic immunities. Pretty easy stuff, as well as, like, it's the freest rocks ever, right? Tune in to find out if I've studied enough Chinese proverbs to win this game. I mean, I do have Chinese proverbs bookmarked, so... What did you expect the chances were for specs or special gouging to come after week 7? I didn't see a single special gouging in mocks. Most of them were DD. We kind of thought it could be physically defensive, but also they were mostly just going to be DD scale shot, as it's the scariest offensive set. But yeah, so physically defensive Terrapagos, Scarf Lando, because if you look at the ground resist, it's just Electros, which obviously can get taken advantage of by my Specs Keldeo off the back of a U-turn from Landorus. So yeah, Scarf Lando, Specs Keldeo with Terra Water. Basically, Okos his entire team, what can I say? Or 2-hit KOs it. The only thing that could really take a hit would be like a bulky Keldeo, or maybe like an Assault Vest Fezandipity. We did see some Terra Water Electroses in mocks as well, as like maybe an Assault Vest try to stop Keldeo. But yeah, Keldeo is my main progress maker in this game. And we have Choice Banded Weavile, because again, the ice resists are really bad on Agency's team, the only one being Keldeo, which is most likely going to Terra out of it. But here, he actually reveals Terra Stellar, which is really smart here because it keeps the Weavile resist, while also getting a boost on all of its offensive moves, which versus my team, you really can use that Stellar boost versus a lot of things with an Air Slash versus Toxicroak, Secret Sword versus my own Keldeo, obviously Surf versus Metagross. That damage boost, you really feel it, right? Is Toxicroak good? I've actually been really pleased with it. For 2 points, it's done quite a lot of work. Speaking of the Toxicroak, this is going to be physically defensive Assault Vest with Terra Ghost. Now, I'm mostly expecting to Terra my Keldeo this game, but if I ever want to spin block versus the Treads, I totally can do that with this Toxicroak, right? So Max Fizdef means that I have an initial pivot into Meowscarada, as well as, you know, Secret Swords are doing nothing, Surf obviously gets Dry Skinned, and we do have Max HP and Assault Vest. I'm able to not get 2-hit KO'd by Air Slash from the Keldeo unless it's Choice Specs. And if it specs into the Air Slash, I can always pivot into my Metagross, into my Terrapagos, into a bunch of guys, right? Into my Weavile as well. My Weavile is very bulky in this game. I have enough defense to actually take a Scarf U-turn from Adamant Meowscarada, which is quite a lot of investment. Which means I'm not max attack, but I am enough to still 2-hit KO everything that I want to. And yeah, my Metagross, I believe... Oh, what was this one? Was it Occaberry? I think it was Occaberry, Earthquake, Heavy Slam, Psychic Things, and Bullet Punch. It's just a 4 attacks Metagross, just trading down HP versus whatever. Can kind of take a hit from anything on his team and fire back some nice damage. See, on the other side, obviously the Terra Stellar Keldeo, quite impactful like I already mentioned, as well as the Terra Fairy Electros. Not really worried about that one, to be honest. Let's get into the game. Basically, my game plan here, I know basically I have to play with my nuts on the table with my Keldeo. I will be making some doubles. At least that was my game plan going in. I need to get Keldeo on the field multiple times. I can't just sit back and AFK. I need to play offensively because obviously my switch-ins to a bunch of guys are limited. I'm kind of running on a timer here. Terrapagos is going to lead off into the Keldeo. And here, I can get up my rocks right. Keldeo with Terra Stellar, I'm thinking it's probably not choice at all. So I'm thinking Secret Sword, Surf, Vacuum Wave, and Air Slash makes a whole lot of sense. I can't imagine why you'd be anything else. Maybe Calm Mind over Secret Sword, but again, kind of expecting 4 attacks here. Not worry about the eel. Yeah, can't believe they didn't give Toxicroak T-Spikes, but yeah, for 2 points it's pretty decent value. Water immunities feel super valuable. Yeah, basically my experience with it. It's pretty nice, especially as like a Meow check. Like it checks Meow, it like kind of checks the waters. Like a lot of them can run coverage for it, but at least you're forcing coverage and giving them a little bit of a headache. Okay, but Terrapagos leads off into the Keldeo. I'm gonna get up my rocks here as he just goes for an Air Slash, which is gonna cover my Toxicroak as well as break the Sturdy here, or not Sturdy, this Terra Shell. But I get flinched immediately, which sucks because he didn't use his Stellar boost on his fighting move yet. So Terrapagos is kind of in range. Not in range, but in danger of being knocked quite low by Secret Sword. don't really want to stay in to take that. So I'm going to pivot to my Toxic. Really would have loved rocks up here to start applying some pressure early, but at the same time, what can you do? Toxic goes in, gonna go for a gunk shot, reveals this Electros to be very bulky, 30%, not that much. Do not get a poison, but okay, Electros, he is kind of annoying to switch into. I go for a knockoff for that reason, gets rid of the Rocky Helmet, which is gonna be nice to not allow my Lando to get chipped on my U-turns. But now Treads is going to come in, and here, I can go to my own Terrapagos to just trade rocks. I can spin as well. He goes for an Earthquake, gets a crit. So if you're counting it, this Terrapagos has been flinched and now crit by the Earthquake. I am max defense. This is a bulky Iron Treads. It shouldn't be doing quite that much damage, but here we are. And my Terrapagos is actually Rocky Helmet here, which is really nice as a Meowscarada pivot, as well as, you know, punishing a spin from Treads, because I am Earth Power. Y hacks too, yeah. So I trade rocks here, rocks going up, and now I'm just going to go for a spin here. We're going to trade spins. He takes helmet, I go for spin, and I believe I take helmet as well. No, I don't take helmet. I'm mixing this up with a mock I had earlier. But yeah, so now Earthquake comes out as, I believe I just go for an Earth Power. No, I go for a Stealth Rock here. Now basically he has to choose between spinning and obviously taking helmet and Earth Power. This thing might just die from this range depending on EVs. Goes for the spin, takes helmet. I do go for an Earth Power here, I believe. But it's Shookaberry. And it actually is quite bulky as well. So it is going to live that hit. And now the main problem here is that Rapid Spin is a roll to knock me out at 8%. So I can't exactly rock up and trade rocks here. But I believe he just goes for an attack to knock me out anyways. Goes for Ice Spinner, gets helmeted. And now I go Toxicroak because the Vacuum Wave is going to prevent him from getting rocks up immediately. Maybe this is like a little bit too obvious and I should double here. At the same time, I really don't want rocks going up because my Weavile is going to get hit by it. And my Weavile is like really threatening here. So I wanted to deny rocks at least initially here. Goes for the Vacuum Wave as Gouging Fire comes in. And this reveals it to be max HP at the minimum. And when I see that, I think it's probably going to be physically defensive Gouging Fire. So knowing that, I'm actually going to take this as an opportunity to go to my Keldeo and get some offense rolling. He goes for a Lava Plume, which does 10%. And now, my Keldeo is in prime position to just click a Specs Water move. I'm going to Terra here and Hydro Pump, because Hydro Pump actually kills max HP Gouging Fire from 92. Can't stay in, has to go into Fez and beat Assault Vest exactly, or sack a Pokemon here. Maybe Meowscarada can pivot in one time, take 80%. But he's going to go for Burning Bulwark, just scout out my move. I reveal, you know, Terra Water Hydro Pump. He's going to go Fez, and this is going to do 47%, which does reveal Assault Vest. But if it's just like max HP Assault Vest, this could be a roll. That could be a low roll. So I'm looking at this, the game state, and I know that if I switch into my Metagross, I'm just going to get U-turned on, and then the Gouging Fire is going to come in, or maybe even the Keldeo is going to come in. Something like that, or actually even worse, the Iron Treads into set up rocks, right? That's what I was mostly scared of, right? U-turn on Metagross, because U-turn obviously, you know, you're going to U-turn here. I'm thinking it's probably worth it to just stay in with Keldeo, get off another Hydro Pump, put this thing in range of Surf, and now I can really start claiming KOs with my Keldeo, right? So I go for another Hydro Pump, knock this thing very low. It reveals to be like Spadef Assault Vest, because 41 is a very low amount of damage from Specs mod, or Specs Timid still, but Specs Terra Water Hydro Pump Keldeo. Goes for U-turn and immediately procs the Toxic Chain, which is a really big deal, right? Because my Keldeo HP is really important. And especially with Burning Bulwark and the fact that Gouging Fire is the main guy that I want my Keldeo to come in on, it's really going to add up really quickly. Now Meowscarada comes in. I lost my Rocky Helmet guy, so Toxicroak gonna have to be the switch in here. But he goes for a knockoff, which is totally fine by me. Gets rid of the Assault Vest, but at that point I didn't really need it anymore. And he actually reveals to be Overgrow, not Protean here. So I see this, I'm like, okay, it's not gonna be Scarf or anything, but at the same time, is it gonna be Sash? Because it didn't lead off. So I'm thinking, I don't know what this could be. It could be Choppleberry, right? Chopple, take a hit, Flower Trick, my Keldeo, that sort of thing. Goes for a U-turn, so no triple axle or anything to knock out my Toxicroak. I go for a Gunk Shot, predicting the Fez, get that correctly. Toxicroak claims a KO in DCL playoffs. You love to see it. But now Keldeo can come in, really threatening an air slash here. I could pivot Metagross here, but the HP on that guy is pretty important. I'd rather just sack my Toxicroak at this point, go for Vacuum Wave, which actually reveals this to be Assault Vest Keldeo, which doesn't really make a difference here because my own Keldeo is hitting it with a Secret Sword anyways, and at this point there's no fighting resist, so Secret Sword is a pretty free click. I no longer really need to go for Hydro Pump at all, I can just go for Secret Swords. Now Metagross comes in, this is going to force this out. Now I thought about this one for a little bit, right? There's two potential plays, right? Because Psychic Fangs is really obvious. You're not going to sack your Keldeo, you're going to switch to something. I figured Earthquake is a pretty reasonable mid-ground here, covers the Treads especially and the Gouging Fire. So maybe to cover Psychic Fangs and Earthquake, he might get a fancy idea of going Meowscarada, which would basically be a KO if he gets that play correctly. Maybe not a KO, but huge chip on the Metagross, which means the Keldeo is going to basically sweep me in the endgame. So that's like a super favorable trade for him, and I wanted to guard against that, so I go for a Heavy Slam. Maybe a little bit of an overplay here, but I did want to cover the Meowscarada, which didn't end up being correct, but he just goes Gouging Fire, and that Heavy Slam damage reveals it to be max Fizdef, which we already could have deduced just from context clues, but now we know for sure. Here I'm just going to go Keldeo, I don't really have another great option available anymore. Gonna have to take this crit Lava Plume, and take the Toxic from the Toxic Chain, and my Keldeo is getting very low very quickly. He can go for, obviously, a Burning Bulwark here. At this point, I am just going to go for another Hydro Pump. I can't exactly Secret Sword into this because it's going to live, it's physically defensive. And now Iron Treads is going to get sacked off, which means no rocks at least, so my Weavile is still going to be at full, but at the same time, it's looking pretty tough. Now my Keldeo is going to go down there. I can't really do anything with a 13% Keldeo, even if I double it in on the Gouging Fire. Like, he can just go for the Burning Bulwark and I'll die to poison. I would have to, like, get it in on the Electros, which is already pretty low, and I have better punishes for that already, being my Weavile, right? Because Triple Axle, pretty dangerous for him. But anyways, yeah, at this point, it's looking a little bit rough. Keldeo goes down. Obviously, now my Landorus comes in. Now here, obviously, I'm very behind here. What I'm basically hoping for here is this Gouging Fire cannot be Boots. That's basically what I'm playing for here. Because if it's Boots, Fizdef, the game's already over. Like, it walls all three, basically. Except for, obviously, Lando Earthquake, which he has an Electros alive. He has Keldeo alive at full HP, Meowscarada at full HP. He can take an Earthquake with anything else. So what I expect here, I really think that Electros is probably a pretty safe play. Alternatively, you could go Gouging Fire, right, on a predicted U-turn. If you get Gouging Fire in versus Metagross or the Weavile, you can just get a free Lava Plume, and that would be really nice. Obviously, I'm Scarf Lando the way I'm playing this. A U-turn is going to knock out this Meowscarada. He does end up being Sash, but at this point, I can't really cover for that sort of thing. Obviously, in his mind, it's pretty safe to just stay in on the U-turn, get down to Overgrow range, and go for a Flower Trick, maybe a knockoff, something of the sort. At the same time, I kind of have to bank on him going to Electros here, so I'm going to get my Scarf Rocks and trying to hope for this Gouging Fire to not be Boots. Maybe it's like Shukaberry or something and my Weavile can start to get the ball rolling that way, but he just stays in, goes for a Flower Trick. And at this point he can go for the freest knockoff of all time, which is why I'm going to pivot to my Weavile, but he goes for a U-turn, which obviously I'm a very bulky Weavile, that does nothing. But now Gouging Fire can come in and it is Boots. So no longer, or it's like not even close to in range of my Weavile. He can go for a Burning Bulwark just to scout out like a banded knockoff if he wants to, but that's why I go for Icicle Crash. I'm actually like double Ice Move, Ice Crash, and Triple Axle. So I go for this, dodging the Bulwark. But he just goes for a Lava Plume, which obviously would cover my switch to Landorus if I decided to go for that, kind of expecting the Bulwark. Now here I'm like kind of one flinch away from this Gouging being very low, and then potentially my Metagross being a big threat in the endgame. But obviously he's gonna save that, go Keldeo, use up its HP on the Weavile, as he should. Knock me out with a Vacuum Wave. And now Metagross is gonna come in. I can just go for a Psychic Fangs here, knock out the Keldeo, but at this point the damage is done. Meowscarada is gonna come in. I can Bullet Punch this for a little bit of chip, potentially put this into like a Stone Edge kind of endgame. But I think I need multiple crits at this point. Meowscarada, gonna knock off my Metagross, it goes down. Now Stonage comes out, doesn't even knock out the Meowscarada at this point. And now with Overgrow, definitely not even a roll on my Landorus, and that's gonna be the game. I will say, he played this one really phenomenally. The whole series, right? Obviously Judgment Day have been playing really well. Their prep has been on point. We lost to them pretty badly, right? At this point it's 5-1 in the series. But, I mean, can I blame myself or even my own team? Not really. Like, these guys just played really great. And at some point, you just kind of have to give people their flowers. Really well prepped, really well played across the whole series. And especially this game, right? From what I've told, this guy took 60 mocks. He just wanted it more. Like, what can I say? I mean, with this team, I didn't even lose any mocks. I felt like my team was really solid. But combine a few things, like obviously my Keldeo getting poisoned immediately, my Terapagos getting flinched and crit like multiple times. Obviously, someone as well prepped, well executed, and then you add on that little bit of luck, it makes it so difficult to find like effective like lines into this. I think it was honestly closer than maybe some would expect with how much work he put into this week. I did like my matchup, but at the same time, he did more mocks this week than I did the whole season, so yeah, what can I say? Congratulations to Judgment Day on making finals. We do have one more game to look at, which is going to be Zooch versus Yurdunk. Probably just going to breeze through this one, because at this point the series is already over, and I do want to get on to the next series, which is going to be a Giga Banger. At this point, Steel Torn, Ghost Hydrapple. Yeah, maybe you didn't review enough Chinese proverbs before the game. That might have been it. Let's see, can we find like a Chinese proverb that kind of encapsulates that game or this series? Let's see. Is this even on screen? Oh, it's perfectly on screen. Look at those dimensions. What's a good one here? You must do more mocks, you fool, you lazy asshole. Dude, he did 60. You want me to match that? Come on, man. Get real. Even the hardiest plant, they left you out to dry. This is so sad. A great man is hard on himself. A small man is hard on others. That's you, K-Crick. That's you, small man. But anyways, yeah, 60 is crazy. Like, bro. Anyways, let's look at this one. Ladio's gonna lead off into the Samurott. Immediately, gonna go for a T-Bolt, gets a crit. Love that. We're Colberberry Latios, so able to make that play. Reporting this video. Don't forget to leave a like. Alright, now Hydrapple in. Goes for a Terra Blast. We're AV Torn, it looks like. Which is kind of crazy, because last time I mocked this team, it was Nasty Plot Torn, and it was 6-0ing every single game. But I guess something happened in between, and we just ended up on AV. Now, Petron here goes for a Toxic. We're EV to always live +2 Terra Blast, but a critical hit, guys. It's a critical hit. Now, Typhlosion in, able to just go for an Eruption, as Samurott comes in and takes 17 because it's max Spadef Assault Vest. Now, I'm pretty sure this at least was Boots with Focus Blast, so I don't know why we didn't click it here. Maybe he changed it to Scarf, I don't know. At this point, I'm checked out, you know? Hydrapple is going all out for this attack, so true. Now, Lottie in on the Gliscor. Do we see a Calm Mind here? We get a Calm Mind going. There we go, there we go. Sucker Punch, there's the Colberberry. Knocks out the Samurott. Who dare at me on Discord? Okay, dude. Alright, Torn pivots in on the Moonblast. Very good stuff. Alright. Sounds like it was stupid. I'm very stupid. Alright, Latios gonna recover off that damage. Net 0 from the Gliscor. AV Toxic Petrant. Okay, if you're max special attack, sure. Is that max special attack? Because a crit did 40 to Torn. Is that max special attack? Surely not, right? Yeah, 25. You're telling me that's max? Is Torn broken? Wasn't max, but I comfortably killed. Sure. I mean, series over. Now we have the only Torn in the world facing a Gliscor that doesn't have Icy Wind, which we had like 24 hours before the game when I mocked him, but whatever. Yo, Vergi might have a point there. Yeah. Alright, so Wave Crash from Marco Quabble did 43% to Hydrapple. And that was no item basically because the CB was knocked off. Alright, should just be a U-turn here. Wait, we do have Icy Wind. We just Dark Pulse the Gliscor for fun, I guess. Cool. Love that. Then we get Toxic. Very cool. Alright, Latios in. Also Toxic. Good double Toxic from Yurdunk. Oh no, Vergi. This is so sad. You should help out the Polish Elf and Money Guys team. Just like the good old days. Oh my god, it's Boots Tinglu. The stuff of legends. Iron Crown just gonna trade HP here. Bring this Tinglu very low. Basically a dead Tinglu in exchange for some chip on the Iron Crown. But now just double back into Torn. But Money didn't draft me. You didn't draft me either. Now U-turn, but obviously Yurdunk with Hydrapple, he's gonna find ways to farm up that regen. Now, after switching out, it's gonna be at full. Very epic. Yeah, 36 to this Glim should be a pretty comfortable 2KO, and it is Boots Typhlosion, so why didn't we just kill the Samurott, dude? This guy needs to just, like, actually hit the Focus Blast. Why are we scared of missing? The series is over, just hit. Alright, now Quack in once more versus the Gliscor, but it's slower and gets dual wing beated. Love that. Alright, Latios in. But this Gliscor does kind of wall. I mean, Iron Crown does as well. Get a special defense boost, but I believe this is Scarf Crown. Right, so Tachyon able to force out the Latios. Oh, it's not Scarf. It was just AD, maybe? Something like that. Series is over, but his personal record is on the line, which is why you should just hit. Oh, reveal Scarf Valiant or a very slow Torn. It could be either one, but it looks like Scarf. Goes for the Fire Blast, does connect it, does 94, which is so much damage, by the way. Flamethrower, because he's soft and doesn't want to miss. Now the next Fire Blast isn't going to KO. But now we're in Blaze range, very epic, but I think Valiant just kind of cleans this one up. Fire Blast and Blaze does so much damage to Gliscor, but yeah, Latios in can just Luster Purge, knock out Gliscor, but the Iron Valiant in the back obviously able to clean up this endgame. Why is Zooch losing? Is he stupid? This is a question I ask myself more and more over the course of the season. He isn't smart. Yo. Now let it be known, Zooch does like well done steaks, so factor that in when forming your opinions of him. And now we can go on to the other series. And this is going to be Zero Foxgiven versus the Ancient Tacticians. So ZFG are going to be represented by Mayo in this game 1, whereas the Tacticians are going to be represented by Toxic Iron Boulders. And it's going to be a Gen 6 game. We see a like Mega Sableye Fat team, which is like somewhat of a rare thing, but it does pop up from time to time. And on the other side, it's going to be a Mega Gardevoir, kind of like offensive, like bulky offense kind of thing. Right, you have your spikes, you have your Volt Switch momentum, you have your Pursuiter, your like fast offensive guy, Weavile, right? And then this Espeon is kind of funny because Magic Bounce versus Magic Bounce. Pretty cool. Actually just eating hockey pucks and calling that food? Literally. Literally. Alright, game 1, Gen 6, let's get it going. Alright, lead Gardevoir traces the Prankster on Sableye. It shouldn't be too impactful, but obviously catches the Sableye at lead. And the threat of Hyper Voice gonna force that out. There's 2 potential switch-ins, right? Snorlax or the Jirachi. We're gonna see Snorlax in initially on the Hyper Voice. His leftovers are revealed. We're gonna see a Will-O-Wisp, but this thing could be packing Facade. We see a Body Slam. No Para, obviously. Body Slam makes a lot of sense. Try to fish for Para versus Skarmory, which is about as much as you can do on a defensive, I guess, especially defensive Snorlax set aimed at checking the Gardevoir. Now, Skarm is going to come in as we see a rest, keeping the Snorlax healthy. But now this Skarm is in before the Sableye has Mega Evolved, so these rocks are free. Now, Torn in, but Torn does not have Defog in this gen. Neither does Lando, so these rocks are basically up for good at this point, right? Yeah, unless Toxic defogs himself, but with a Donphan that seems unlikely. So rocks up, some pressure being applied, Pain Split on the Snorlax going to bring it quite low, simultaneously heal the Rotom. And now probably just going to see a Volt Switch as we see a Lando pivot on that turn, really nice stuff. Now Espeon in trying to catch the rocks, but instead a U-turn comes out, takes Rocky Helmet and Life Orb, but Espeon going to take a beating for that. Now Torn comes in, it is Life Orb. Going to U-turn again, force the switch to Rotom. Some more chip incoming, but the rocks and the Life Orb are adding up a little bit. Now a Focus Blast on the Skarm hit, but it is sturdy, so it is able to live, and actually it's Scarf Skarmory. This is something that we actually saw in OU, believe it or not, in a pretty high stakes tournament recently, so that's funny, right? I believe Crying did that. But here, it's gonna work, knocks out the Landorus. Now Sableye in, goes for a Metal Burst, not Mega Evolving to purposely take more damage on the Volt Switch. But even so, not enough to OHKO the Gardevoir, but maybe a Shadow Sneak able to pick it off. Toxic gonna scout for that by sacking the Espeon, getting 2 Rocky Helmet hits, threatening a Dazzling Gleam to prevent the recover. So Sableye gonna be very low, not able to do anything else really for the rest of the game. Maybe a little bit of chip on Rotom, but it is gonna go down to the Volt Switch. Now it's looking like a pretty tight endgame. Donphan in, Azumarill gonna be the response, and just gets Gunk Shotted. Fast Donphan gonna be outspeeding, and Gunk Shot procs the Citrus Berry, which means it's likely Belly Drum Azumarill, and it goes for a knockoff. Probably expecting a Rotom Wash pivot, but no such luck. Donphan gonna stay in, and Gunk Shot is a 2-hit KO here. Can just go for an Earthquake if you want, doesn't risk a miss. Aqua Jet just for some chip, but Donphan putting in, you know, it's standard 2 turns, but in those 2 turns, it has accomplished a lot. Now Jirachi in, probably gonna just knock out this, oh, doesn't knock out the Donphan, crucially giving Donphan its 3rd turn. But guys, we all know a 3rd turn is illegal, just dodges the head smash. I mean, essentially 2 turns on Donphan, let's say it. Gonna see a U-turn back into the Jirachi. Now Rotom Wash gonna find its way in on the Iron Head. Is this the point we're at? We're Iron Heading a Rotom Wash? Okay, dude. Goes for Iron Head. Flinch. Yep. Iron Head. Guys, just quick side note. How do we feel about the DPP format right now? I'm just curious what you guys think. The gameplay has nothing to do with DPP, by the way. Just wondering, you guys like old gens like that? I know, like, in DPP they thought about, you know, banning Iron Head, because the only one that uses it really is Jirachi, and he's kind of just a complete pain with Iron Head. Not better than ADV. I agree. Oh, look! Rotom finally got to move. Now we see Fake Out Weavile. What is this? Scarf Jirachi? You can't really stay in with the Weavile there. Unless you have Ice Shard, which it appears to not have Ice Shard. Sure, so Rotom Wash. Shout out to the Covert Cloak, man. Best item ever added. So Rotom gonna get 1v1 by a Jirachi clicking 15 Iron Heads. Love that. But now Weavile able to come in, goes for another fake out, finally gets rid of the Jirachi. And now Snorlax can come in. It does appear that this Weavile might be choiced, like choice banded fake out or something, which is weird because why wouldn't you Ice Shard in that case? I don't know. Anyways, we're gonna sack our Gardevoir and then knock off. Yeah, that's banded for sure. Right? That's gotta be. But Snorlax goes for a rest, which Snorlax is 3 KO'd by this. Gets the Sleep Talk Body Slam. Can we get another one? Can we get one more Body Slam? We get a Curse, but man, that Curse was like earlier maybe, like the previous one, but now it's just in range of knockoff. Now Torn at 70, is it also going to be in range of knockoff? And it is. So Iron Boulders comes out with a win. And I gotta say, I think that does come back to just catching the Sableye off rip, preventing it from Mega Evolving turn 1 with the Gardevoir and getting rocks up. And then obviously that Donphan versus Azumarill turn, really crucial, I think. Really, really crucial. Alright, looks like we might have Glopp joining us for the rest of it. But yeah, the Donphan versus Azumarill trade, really, really impactful. Right, imagine like having a full HP Azumarill here for this Weavile endgame would have been an absolute godsend. But that's not the world we live in, and so Ancient Tacticians take game 1. As we move on to VGC, now, I know the series we didn't get to VGC because that was after the series was already wrapped up, and they just decided they didn't want to play. But here, game 2, we have VGC. Imagine the Sableye was teched or fake out, yeah, literally, but it was lead Metal Burst instead, which is like a little bit higher risk, higher reward. Obviously, you expect the Sableye to lead, so obviously guard makes a lot of sense. But at the same time, having that Metal Burst probably felt pretty nice in a lot of other lead matchups. Alright. VGC. Let's lock in. Now, because it's playoffs, I'll actually try my best for VGC and not just troll. At the same time, I can't sit here and pretend that I'm good at analyzing lead matchups for VGC, so let's just see what they lead with and give us a little bit of a starting opportunity. Alright, Torn Basculegion versus Enam Thundurus. A lot of genies on the field right now. So what are the threats here? We're threatening stuff like Rain Dance plus Wave Crash, OHKOing either of these two. No Tailwind on Idle's side. I don't think Thundurus gets that. What is being threatened here? Maybe the Thundurus... Can Thundurus be faster than Basque with like a Scarf? I don't think so. So what is the threat here? Maybe a T-Wave on Basculegion? Wait, a T-Wave on Basculegion would be kind of fire. And then maybe just like a Specs Moonblast into that slot? Because this Tornadus is not really exerting offensive pressure right now. Most likely going to be a support move there. So if we see a T-Wave into Basque and like a Specs Moonblast, that would be pretty impactful here. Let's see what happens here. We see a Terra Ghost, Aqua Jet, and Sludge Bomb doubles into the Enamorous, knocks it out actually, but Thunderbolt gonna knock out the Torn instead. So basically none of what I just said happened. Shout out to VGC. Terra Ghost here to prevent the Thundurus from threatening a knockout. But yeah, decides to not set Tailwind with the Torn. We'll see if he... we'll see how that goes. We see an Eerie Impulse, which is going to be blocked by the Archaludon, holding a Clear Amulet. So obviously they saw this in prep. Now Flash Cannon going to do a little bit of damage to the Girafarig, and a Terra Ghost Last Respects is going to one-shot But at the same time, Trick Room does go up. Down to the final 2 Pokemon. Can Gouging Fire carry this? We see Terra flying immediately as a sunny day gets the Proto attack boost and one-shots Basculegion in the sun. Alright, we have Glopp joining. One sec. Yo, 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 what's up?
Yo, what's up? Hope I'm not too early to the stream.
No, you good.
My bad. Nah, you sent me that message, bro, and I literally just like completely forgot started playing Fire Emblem 7 and lost track of time. That's my bad.
No, I get it. I've literally been there myself. Okay, Basculegion going down is such a big deal here. I don't know if you've been following along with this game so far. A lot of Pokemon have died, and we just missed a Draco Meteor. Oh my god. So down to the final 2 Pokemon on each side with a boosted up Gouging Fire, threatening an Oko on this Landorus potentially. But at the same time, if that happens, then the Arch knocks out the Gouging Fire potentially. I don't think the Girafarig is able to 1v1 this Arch. We'll see. We see a Psychic and a Flare Blitz into the Arch, which makes sense, but it's sturdy. And with a Rock Slide from this Landorus knocks that out, and obviously the Arch and Lando combination going to knock out the Girafarig as well. So Hopeless takes game 1 of the set. We'll go on to the next game here.
I feel like you maybe could have split your, or not split your damage there, right? I feel like you had to get a call right. Like, I just don't think splitting damage at the end there was right. If you double up in the Arch, I think you at least have a chance, right? You've got Trick Room turns.
Yeah.
Because if you Psychic and Flare Blitz the Arch Showdown, then I believe Girafarig lives 2 hits from Lando from that range, or like it lives 1 hit. You know what I mean? So you can Psychic 3-hit KO at that point.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think potentially you could have also just double attack the Landers maybe, or just like Psychic the Arch and Flare Blitz the Lando, which would have worked here because he No, actually no, he probably Draco'd the Gouging slot. No.
Well,
I think you're right, yeah.
Yeah, I think you had to double the Arch. But...
And I think that still loses technically.
If Earth Power 2 shots Girafarig, then yeah, and most likely it does.
Well, not only that, you're taking a Rock Slide, right? Because Rock Slide knocks out the Gouge and gets chip on Girafarig, and then Trick Room is running out, so I don't think you have time to 3-hit KO. Like, even if you lived, like, the Lando would outspeed eventually. Alright, game 2. Let's see if there's any adjustments. And there is a Smeargle Basculegion lead this time as Enam and Thundurus leads. So Idle not adjusting despite losing, but Hopeless trying out something new. We see a Terraghost once more, and we see a Feint trying to block a Protect on an Enamorus, it looks like. But obviously that call is going to go completely sideways as Smeargle is going to get one-shot by a crit Dazzling Gleam. I have to assume that's Specs Enam. And Thunderbolt going to do a little bit of damage to what appears to be an Assault Vest Basculegion, which is going to one-shot the Enamorus. Is this AV or is this banded? I can't tell. Actually, no, it revealed not banded for game 1, so probably AV.
That's gotta be AV. Just take
yeah,
30? Like, there's no way.
And 24 from presumably Specs Dazzling Gleam? Yeah,
that
AV
crit on
sure.
Smeargle is huge, because you could have potentially, like, used Redirection or, like, a supporting move the next turn.
I don't think so, because the Enam was faster, right? Yeah, Enam was faster, so the next Dazzling Gleam would have knocked it out.
No, I'm saying if it had something like Helping Hand, it could have maybe like gotten that off before it went down or something.
Oh yeah, maybe. But still, I think having Torn on the field is also pretty reasonable.
It's not bad, right? Yeah, like you get 2 offensive pieces next to each other and it's gone.
Yeah. Well, I did not catch that turn. So Bleakwind comes out, which is a weird choice. I guess it's not packing Taunt,
point.
Otherwise you would have taunted Giraffe.
Yeah, if you're not Taunt and you're expecting the tail or the Trick Room, then there's no point to set up a Tailwind. You may as well just try to get your damage.
Yeah, and Torrent is going to go down for it. And now Trick Room comes up, and I think this is a lot better of a situation. Sunny Day goes up ahead of time, getting ready for that Gouging Fire to come in afterwards, which is going to come in right now. But now it's Arch versus the World, and the World has a full HP Gouging Fire. I don't think he used Terra yet, right? But I guess he doesn't really need it. It's all the same. Yeah, and Arch obviously not able to live that combination. And that's going to force us to a game 3 in the VGC. Why did the Enam die? That's a strong dude there, Basculegion. All right, game 3 for some of the marbles. It is still only game 2 of the series. All right, Torn and Arch lead this time versus Enem and Thundi again. Yeah, so sticking with the same lead, and this time we're going to see a Tailwind. Does the Arch just flash cannon the Enem here? I would presume it does. Oh, with a scary face? Okay, okay. But doesn't one-shot the Arch, which obviously had Sturdy anyways, so you were never OHKOing that. And Torn actually mirror herbs the contrary boost, which is pretty interesting. So this is the fastest Torn ever.
that's probably there for like the
Gouge.
Eerie Impulse contrary stuff. No, like if you because you boost up a Nemesis special attack.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So then if they do that, you would copy it and get your own +2 on the same turn.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Because that would imply like that turn Thundy's not attacking you. So I kind of see the vision with that.
No, smart. But now this Torn is 4 times speed. So obviously gonna try to get up the Trick Room here. Electroshot obviously not gonna do anything into that Protect, and Trick Room is gonna go up. We're gonna see probably a Psychic into the Arch, just knock it out, and then a T-Bolt into Torn, which we're gonna see a Terra Dark Torn, which is interesting. Bleakwind obviously not gonna do anything besides stall out a turn of Trick Room, and that same play is still available to Idle. The Psychic the left slot, T-Bolt the right slot, and it's gonna knock out the Torn. Hopeless has used up his Terra for this, and Smeargle is eject pack. Love that. So Arch now is able to, I was gonna say it is able to go for Protect here, but doesn't opt to go for the Protect, leaving it open to a Psychic from Girafarig, which honestly feels like a little bit dangerous, but the Girafarig went for Sunny Day instead, trying to set up that Gouging Fire endgame. And also managed to block the Archaludon, so now it's... Wait, there's no Gouging Fire! There's no Gouging Fire!
That's kind of fascinating.
Where is he?
I mean, it won it did really well in the last 2 games.
It was so good.
Yeah, yeah.
Huh. Well, Okie Doki's here. Wait, Helping Hand. We're trying to OHKO the Basculegion here? It's gonna work. But Arch is gonna get this Electroshot off, which is actually targeted into Girafarig. And now it's a 2v2, but Giraffe is very low, Arch is very low. It's a Smeargle. We see a Follow Me, and the Flash Cannon's gonna knock out the Girafarig. We see a Snarl. Snarl knocks out the Arch, and Smeargle last mon gets toxic by the Toxic Chain, and I think that's gonna be Idle taking the set. And that's gonna be it.
Yeah, I mean, that preview, just looking at this matchup, it felt like Hopeless's team is really, really weak into Trick Room, and so if you're not able to effectively stop it, it just it really allows Idle to just steamroll with these really strong pieces, the Gouging Fire, the Okie Dokie. So I think that was kind of the deciding factor. We saw Trick Room be really instrumental not only in game 2 but also here in game 3. Letting Girafarig go first, get that Sunny Day up, block the Electroshot. So many of those sequences were only because of the speed orders being flipped. So really smart stuff from Idle.
So true. And if you look at this team on paper, it doesn't really look like a Trick Room team. It looks like an offensive team that just has a Girafarig in the 6th slot, but really able to leverage that Girafarig really well in this set. All right, now we go on to Gen 8, your specialty. Right,
a cinema
take
game.
It away.
So,
I have not seen this one actually.
This was an amazing game to watch. I really, really enjoyed this one. So I actually remember I mocked Nim for this game, and he was really dead set on the Gloom. And at first I didn't really see the vision with it. It's kind of a it's a 1-pointer, right? So realistically, how much do you expect it to be able to do? But the nice thing here is that it's putting a lot of pressure. It pressures with status spread. And the only way to really circumvent that is having Heal Bell on Sylveon. And if Sylveon is wasting turn on going for Heal Bell, that's positioning to get in things like Feeny to knock off items or go for Nature's Menaces, or it's allowing in Bronzong to recover more HP, because realistically, Bronzong wall is half this team, right? The only things that actually hit it for meaningful damage are the Zygarde Dog and the Scrafty, both of which you have really nice defensive responses for. So it's kind of like the Bronzong show, just with Gloom cheesing. Now, of course, on C's end, right, potentially some kind of crazy offensive Celesteela could break through, like a Meteor Beam mix set, or leveraging the fact that there is no 1,000 Arrows immune, right? Of course, you are going to have to chip down things like the Crocodile and the Tapu Fini over the course of the game, so it's definitely going to be a longer-paced game is the way I envision it. So We can go ahead and jump into it.
All right. Also, can I just say moderated chat was set to, players?
So
Like, get
so
a
corny.
job, man.
So corny. Like, this game, I would have loved to have been yapping and larping in chat.
Literally.
All right.
If you care, ignore specs. It's that simple.
Really, that's what I do personally. Yeah, I mean, like,
don't.
obviously, I love going back after the battle and
yeah.
reading all the shit that was said. But in the moment, I do understand I like to focus. But I would never mod chat my games.
Literally. All right, so Latios versus Kiram lead, gonna force that out into the Crocodile immediately.
I can actually give some intel here because, well, number one, you're gonna see that should be revealed now. The Kiram is Scarf.
Yeah,
switched out
switch first.
So basically, Nim there is just scouting for opposing Scarf. Now, I think if you're scouting for Scarf Latios, I would expect that Draco be the click. So I don't know that Crocodile is what I would have switched into. But maybe he felt like...
Well, it's like... it's also
trick.
a pretty easy trick, I was going to say, yeah. Because, like, Bronze on Feeny as, like, the two obvious switch-ins, but Crook doesn't mind taking a Scarf.
If Zong gets tricked, the game is over. So I feel like,
gooped,
I guess he's basically saying I'd rather Crook get tricked than anything else. So I understand that.
And it can still take a Draco, worst come to worst. And it's also, like, honestly pretty hard to Draco in that situation.
Fair enough.
Scrappy...
So now the GOAT comes in.
Yeah.
And the thing is, and this is like, I've talked about this like other times when we've talked about like the meta of Swish and everything, but a really key factor I noticed a lot of Swish drafts is that a lot of teams elect to just pass on a grass type. And normally it's not a huge deal, but like, especially this DCL, we've seen a big uptick in like low tier grasses and also things like Zygarde and Zydog being used. So when there's no grass on the opposing side, it's really easy to just spam things like Sleep Powder or Leech Seed and get long-term value that way.
Yeah, and you're going to see a really nice double stun spore on catching the switch to Landorus, which, well, maybe not the most impactful thing ever. If this was like Scarf Landorus, because we know this Latios is not Scarf now, if this was Scarf Landorus as like the speed control for like a +1 Dragonite, now that opens up that, all sorts of things, right? The Feeny's a lot better as well. Doesn't have to worry about Scarf EQ. We're going to see a full para.
I did bring Scarf Lando in the mock versus him, so it's definitely a viable set for sure.
Immediate Ice Beam from Dragonite, which makes sense as a bring, right? 2 quad Ice Weeks on the roster.
Also, there's no Ice Resist. I mean, look at their team, right? So they benched Jellicent, and then I forget the last one on this roster, but the team is fairly Ice Weak, which I think is quite interesting into Kiram, right? You're going to bring no Ice Resist. Like, you're really banking on Sylveon being able to manage it long term.
Yeah. All right, see you later, Smeargle. Thanks for hanging out. Life Orb Latios, which doesn't 2-hit kill Crook, meaning it's Assault Vest as hell. But it's going to take Rocky Helmet.
I mean, it's looking like Nim is not in like the most favorable position, but realistically, he's definitely gunning for a more long-term game. I know some things about his prep. I know it's like a Protect, Toxic, Bronzong, and he's got a lot of knockoff spam. His sort of game plan here is just to like play the long game and just get positioning for Kiram, because that'll like inevitably break.
Yeah, playing the long game. Maybe not the easiest thing in the world versus Life Orb Latios, but he has been getting some of these turns right. Ice Beam on the Feeny switch, obviously going to be really impactful. And you're actually
even with the Life Orb.
Whoa, 50? 50.
I think he's like a spin def Feeny. Yeah,
that does so much damage. Does not want to stay in and take another one as Dragonite going to be the pivot in. 34, a little bit less, a little bit more manageable.
I actually brought Bandit in my mock versus him, and I got completely stonewalled by this Dragonite. As you're gonna see, this thing is super fat. And this is a great position, right? Because like right here, you can kind of just go for a Toxic.
Free rocks.
Rocks up. Yeah, right. And this Bronzong is gonna be able to harass the shit out of his team. And I think, he tech Hypnosis specifically because the only thing that really sits on the Zong is the Celesteela. And like you can just get a chance to fish if it's like the standard defensive Leech Seed set, right?
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but Zong lost Psychic or Psywave in this gen, right?
I believe it did. I think Psywave got axed, which would have been a really smart tech if.
Yeah, it's my favorite move to run on Bronzong in like Gen 6 and Gen 7. So like
just consistent damage,
Well, consistent in air quotes, right? But yeah, it's at least
when you know ball, it's consistent.
By definition, it varies quite a bit, but at least it is damage every turn, yeah.
So, interesting thing to note there, we see Heal Bell and Sylveon, but we don't see any leftovers, right? So, immediately my mind is wondering, is this potentially like a choiced Sylveon? Because what else would you be? You're not Boots, you're not lefties, so what else could it be, right?
Looks like it's Scarf, maybe.
it could potentially be Scarf based on the fact that you're outspeeding a Feeny. I don't think Feeny needs a lot of investment to outpace. If it's like modest max, for example, on the Sylveon. So kind of screaming Scarf at this point, which is honestly great for Nim, because if you're looking at C's team now, right? Celesteela's knocked off. Sylveon's underneath half. Every other Pokemon is neutral or weak to Ice Beam. So all he's got to do is find a good position for that thing, and he's kind of good to go.
And the default here gets rid of the rocks, kind of like opens up the Kyurem, which is Scarf, and like we're just gonna spam ice moves now. Especially, that freeze is a little bit rough because this was C's best breaker for sure.
It was, but it's tough. Like, what do you go to, right? Because like the way this game is playing out, it's going to be in Nim's favor to get multiple ice beams off over the course of a much longer game. So it is inevitable that something would have to potentially eat a freeze, right? So I understand C's logic of wanting the Latios.
Yeah.
No, it is. No, for sure. But I like you're going to see as this game goes on, like the way buttons are being clicked, it was bound to happen at some point.
Yeah, and these rocks are never staying up because Dragonite always going to be the switch into Lando.
It just sucks because Latios is like arguably one of the best pieces to making progress.
Yeah,
but
for
even
sure.
still, like Nim's got the Spadef Zong with Protect, right? So even if Lottie like calls it with a Shadow Ball, you're only doing about 40% max, and you can really offset the damage with Protect and Leftovers.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's like it matters. It does matter, but
It's still in a pretty reasonable situation.
Yeah, I think it becomes like here, like this is a great double from C. You know, she recognizes that she's got to get some kind of momentum started, right? And she is able to find her first kill here with 1,000 arrows. Nim doesn't want to risk health on the Tapu Fini or the multi-scale Dragonite, right? Because you don't have it yet. So this is now an opportunity to come in, get that back with a Roost.
Or just go for an Ice Beam.
Go for an Ice Beam. Yeah, I guess because at this point he's kind of realized that Scrafty doesn't have like Ice Punch or Toxic.
Well, you see knock off Protect.
Probably Fight move. I think the last move we see is Roar later on.
Oh, Roar? I would never have guessed that, to be honest.
Yeah. I did run that in the mock versus him, but mine had Ice Punch. I was 3-attack Ice Punch.
Yeah.
Or sorry, 3-attack Roar. But like, this set is just completely Giga Wall by Dragonite. It's funny because these guys are, I mean, they're doing pebbles to each other, but you know.
Yeah, just freeze.
In the long term,
yep.
It does favor Dragonite because he can just sit there and roost forever. So it's funny because originally in the mock, my Scrafty like was an answer to like a defensive kind of D-Knight, and he had Hurricane in the mock. And I was like, oh my god, that's brilliant.
Just wrap it up.
But then of course here it's revealed that clearly right there, boom, Thunderbolt. He doesn't even have it anymore. So it's gonna make this game be dragged out a lot longer.
Yep. So how's the weather?
It's, you know, it's honestly it's been pretty nice. I'm actually might go out tomorrow on the lake with some family friends, some kayaks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're getting the last of the nice warm weather before the fall season hits us. So you know.
Yeah, weather's been pretty nice where I'm at past like week or so. I've been actually going outside and stuff, which shout out.
Shout out going outside, man.
All right, managed to get a heal bell off though sneakily, but now the Sylveon's basically dead. Yeah.
So Latios is back in the game, but the thing is, Lottie's at like 30% and rocks are up.
Yeah.
So this is just like, and with Sylveon going down, like any status now sticks. So any entry point for Gloom that translates into a Stun Spore is just going to be like permanent progress.
Yeah.
Which is horrible for C.
I don't like the Finny coming in here. I would have preferred to see that Gloom come in.
Gloom? Yeah. I agree. I don't think
there's
any need to
you got
get
your
aggressive.
multi-scale up. What more do you ever want, right? Get your Gloom in, throw off a Leech Seed. It's like guaranteed value, right?
I think Nim just wanted to like put the foot on the gas and force a kill because Moonblast kind of does force one at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that was his reasoning there.
I don't know. Leech kind of did the same thing. I'm not gonna lie.
But now this is perfect for Kyurem. The moment we've been waiting for, the Scarf Ice Beam. He's in.
Yep.
I mean, at this point, look at the rest of the team, right?
Yeah, it's just Scrafty. And now you can go Gloom or Dragonite. All good. Yeah, now just the T-Bolt. Pretty safe. No real way for
now, I will say,
to lose this one at this point.
If he had kept Hurricane, this game would have been over about 20 turns ago.
Well, you know. But I do understand, like reached turn 69 happening right now.
True.
Shout out.
Nice. It is. I mean, the one benefit though of the Thunderbolt set, I'm guessing that as mocks were progressing, he was finding Celesteela increasingly annoying, and so Thunderbolt adds some consistency into that.
Yeah, especially considering this is like the initial switch into an offensive Steela. You want some way to hit it back, right? We can't be hurricaning it for 15%.
True.
Yeah. Probably does not feel that good.
The problem I had is that I had Bandit Selly, but it was so hard to force progress because I could never like reliably keep up the rocks because the Dragonite kept defogging them. So that was an issue I ran into. And as you've seen throughout the course of this game, it's been able to do that beautifully, right? A lot of times you go into a matchup and you're expecting Dragonite to be this very, scary late game Dragon Dance or early game breaking set. But this defensive utility set is just doing wonders for them. It's really enabling the Gloom to kind of just troll. Like,
yeah.
This guy can't be touched.
In this
1 point Mon, by the way, right? 1 point Mon.
Yeah.
Farming Celesteela and Scrafty. Like,
yeah, kind of like how I farmed Mian Xiao Coco that one time in a mock with the Gloom.
And Volt Ninja says that Gen 8 is unwatchable. And that's because, my friend, there is a plague that affects many of us that play the Pokemon game. We're all young. We're all the Gen Z. And so you guys are all brain rotted with the attention span of a fucking, 2-year-old. So you can never appreciate the depth of a long-term, 80-turn slugfest that is Swish. But that's the beauty of it, right? There's no Z-moves. There's no bullshit mechanic. There's no Megas. There's no Terra. There's no cheese. It's just gaming. And personally, I'm a big fan of that.
There's no cheese, he said. Sees the hypnosis Bronzong.
You know what? In SV, that would be cheese. But in Swish...
Oh,
everybody and their mom has aromatherapy and heal bell. That's your fault for not drafting that.
True. Let them know.
I'm just saying, man. Also, if you're C, look at C is obviously playing a more defensive strategy as well, right? So if you're gonna let yourself do that, then you're gonna fall prey to those kind of tactics. I mean, that's how the cookie crumbles.
Oh, I think we really could have hit turn 100 there if we wanted to. Alas.
We could have. Now, some people would see that game and say that was a snooze fest. I watched that and I say that was absolute fucking cinema. I love a long game that has dynamic plays between two players, and we actually get to see it. Like it doesn't become matchup versus matchup; it becomes player versus player. And Nim was just on top of it the whole time. I think he had amazing prep, and he played very disciplined. Like you can look at this game, you can laugh, you can say it was boring, but like you have to admire. Like, Nim played really fucking disciplined over the course of this entire game. Kiram only came in when it was absolutely safe and it was guaranteed to get a kill. And I think that it was that diligence and that consistency that netted him such a dominant victory.
No, I was just laughing at what this guy said in the chat. Did you see this? Left for 30 minutes and thought I missed a lot. Nope, just the Gen 8
All right, man. Nah, yeah, you just missed Gen 8 and me waffling. No big deal.
So what is this? Is this 1-2 now? In favor of the Ancient Tacticians? I believe it is. Now here trying to even up the series is going to be Mind Gaming versus Fresh Orange Juice. Who the hell is Fresh Orange Juice?
Blitz.
Blitz? Of course it is. I should have known.
Yep.
Alright, looks like you're going to see a lot of Terra Fairies here on the Bolt and the Torn. Terra Normal on the Cyclizar. And I think that's it. Looks like it.
This game pissed me off as a spectator to watch. You'll see what I mean.
Oh, I might have seen this one. It looks familiar. All right, Ogerpon leads off into the Gliscor. An immediate taunt trying to prevent spikes from going up, or Stealth Rock, either way. Ends up working out, and we see a spike go up for Mind Gaming. Now, Raging Bolt in reveals no boots. It's going to be Booster Special Attack. So, this kind of set aimed at like breaking down the Ting Lu early game. Maybe opening up the Roaring Moon in the future. But Mind Gaming going to go to Rotom instead on the Dragon Pulse, takes 75. But I imagine it's going to be a pain split, yeah. Getting big chip on the Raging Bolt, and also putting yourself out of range of the next Dragon Pulse. So now another pain split could happen. At this point, if you want the Raging Bolt to do something, you're going to have to Healing Wish it later. Because this HP, I mean, it's basically dead. This is a trade of a Rotom Wash, or not even Rotom Wash, just a Rotom for a Raging Bolt. I mean, that's pretty reasonable.
Yeah, if you're Mind Gaming, you can't be too upset about that, right?
Yeah. And now a Body Slam comes out from, it looks to be a Choice Banded Cyclizar. That did way too much damage. And now gonna Terra Normal. Now watch this turn. Free rocks.
Great. And then we just hacks.
Why hacks?
Now, they literally calced it. It never could kill from that range.
Yeah,
that was a guaranteed U-turn there for Blitz, which is really unfortunate because you're gonna see that like having that Gliscor sack would have been amazing.
For sure, for sure. But now, Conk gonna get a free switch in, but Toxapex right there. They've been running a lot of eject button on Toxapex, but here this time it's gonna be Rocky Helmet, which also is gonna work pretty well here. And now kind of threatening an Earthquake here from like a Guts Conkeldurr. Might be enough to knock out Toxapex from here. It might be close, I'm not sure. Might be doing like 70. So either way, a T-Spike is going to go up here as Aloe comes in. And now it's just going to go into Cyclizar. And no matter what happens, like you flip turn to what? Right? Conkeldurr comes in, takes Spikes and Burn, and you have a full HP Toxapex. It's probably pretty reasonable.
You could have flip turned into Jirachi right there.
Jirachi maybe? Yeah, you could have.
Yeah, instead you just get hacked.
Oh my god. How are you dead from 71? It's an Alamomola.
That's dude, Cyclizar is broken.
Literally.
We need to ban this guy.
7 points, by the way. 7 points.
Yeah, this guy needs to be at least like 9 points.
I know.
After this. Like, it's just crazy to me that it's such an amazing secondary Terra on like Torn compositions because they're both so fast, and they can both be really defensive or unexpectedly offensive, and it's really hard to prepare for like both sides of that spectrum.
Such a wide variety of sets that are actually usable, right? Life Orb for attacks. Obviously, choice sets are good. Assault Vest really fantastic in some matchups. You see like even Shift Gear from time to time. You see Eject Pack, Draco, Overheat. Like, really versatile, and it still has like knock, spin, all the utility, as well as this like great offensive move pool. And now really nice pivoting from Mind Gaming. Goes into Ogre Pawn on the Earthquake, which does a lot, but baits out the Mach Punch, which means Rocky Helmet and Burn.
Nah, he was pussy for that. I was literally watching this game live, and on the turn Ogre Pawn came in, I said Earthquake again. I knew his ass was going pegs. Yeah. Bro. Yeah. But it's okay. He's not completely out of this. Like, the game looks terrible, but he still has some outs. So there is some.
Wow, just say you hate the guy. A raw Terra Blast comes out. But Toxapex's able to come in, and now the Healing Wish comes out. We're bringing back Raging Bolt. I want to say maybe like a Conk coming back would be more impactful, but
I thought about that as well. But it's like
Torn,
I think what he's trying to gun for. I think he's trying to gun for somehow get rid of the Pex, like Mind Gaming chokes and gives it to him. Weaken the Tinglu, and you could potentially win with the Roaring Moon if it's Scarf. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, the only fucking set they run on a Roaring Moon every week is Choice Scarf. Like,
yeah, literally.
Every week we've watched this team.
I mean, if you look at
they are fucking Choice Scarf merchants.
Their other Scarfers are like Raging Bolt and Jirachi. So for speed control, you kind of do need like Scarf Moon on this team more often.
I know,
than
and
not.
like I was even in their prep call, and like they were saying this to me, but I was like, dude, like, if you bring the same set every week, though, like they're gonna be prepared for it. You know, even if it is.
Well, they're gonna be prepared anyways, right? It's not like you just don't prep for Scarf Moon.
It feels like a waste. What I'm saying is,
I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, at the same time, having nothing faster than the Torn is like really rough. You know, like Nasty Plot sets would just completely obliterate you. Like a Nasty Plot Terra Ground, you would just lose, I think. So, I really do get it.
I do really want to commend Blitz because he gets all of these plays right. He goes for the triple Terra Blast, like at any point, Mind Gaming could have potentially went back to Toxapex. Like there are some Mind Games here. Now here is a beta because I was screaming Thunderbolt here.
You were
and he goes for fucking Thunderclap. I was screaming at the top of my lungs.
He didn't hear you.
I'm pretty sure everybody in my household heard me say that shit.
Wait, it freaking lived. Pex is
but
so
if he had
broken.
gone for it on the swap, he got a kill.
Yeah. No, I get it. But why did it live? Because oh, Ice Punches. Yeah, were you screaming that one as well?
He just gives up. Yeah, no, I was screaming, "Give up, bro! It's Joe."
Yeah.
Poor guy. The sad thing is, like, if he had gotten that call right and he sniped off the Pex, I do think there's a world where Roaring Moon like brings it back.
Yeah, because like Outrage is really strong with rocks.
You Oko fucking Cyclizar, right?
Yeah, obviously.
And then
the Torn's gonna be at 75.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm pretty sure you just kill that thing and you win.
I don't know if you kill. It might be close depending on the Torn
after
set.
Mach Punch, right? Because think about it like this, right? So Thunderbolt into the Toxapex, it lives. You Thunderbolt again, kill Toxapex.
I don't think you ever get the Mach Punch off.
How do you knock? You bring in the fucking.
Let's see. So you kill the
Pex, right? And then you double down on it because it can live Thunderbolt, right? So you double down, and then it would be Moon Conk versus Torn Cyclizar. You just go Conk first. If you go Cyclizar, it's gonna die to Mach Punch. So
what I'm thinking of is, okay, you go Pex, it lives Thunderbolt on 2.
Yep.
You sack Cyclizar on the T-Volt. Then you have Torn and Pex.
Well,
Pex
then it's
can
like
bait
kind of
the Mach Punch.
It's kind of a 50-50.
No, that doesn't work still because you have a Roaring Moon KO as well.
Well, no, wait. You couldn't you just go into Roaring Moon and then Outrage kills Pex from like you would have to like swap out.
Wait. No, so Pex regens to like 40-ish.
Sure. Yep.
You take rocks, call that 28.
Yep.
And then Roaring Moon comes in to get an outrage KO. You have to regen again.
That's what I'm saying. You regen again.
And then I think Pex will live an outrage and you can recover back up to full. EQ doesn't
Was
OHKO.
Pex faster than Conk?
No, but it'll live an Earthquake.
Will it?
Yeah.
A Guts Earthquake? That shit does at least like 60. I'm thinking Roaring Moon can force it to stay in range
like,
of Earthquake.
Pex can recover to full. You know what I mean?
In front of the moon?
Yeah, because you're clicking outrage into helmet with T-spikes up. Like, you're just gonna die.
Right. I think at the end of the exchange, it would just barely be out of range of Conk, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I think so. But still, like,
that's a lot of plays that have to go right. Imagine they had that glass score.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
All right, so now the series is tied up 2-2. Go on to this game, which is going to be SV. K-Crick versus Dawn Midst. K-Crick using this, like, pseudo-sun kind of thing. No chlorophyll sweeper, but there is a Raging Bolt, which they've run a lot of Choice Scarf with, like, Weather Ball kind of thing, which does look pretty good here into the Iron Treads. So we'll see if that ends up being the case. Alright. And Glopp is BRB. Alright, let's get into this one. Obviously, Terra Water Ogerpon. The Raging Bolt is going to be Terra Dragon. So a Stab Terra on Raging Bolt leads me to believe this might actually just be Scarf. We see a Speed Booster lead Treads, probably just going to get rocks up here, and it does. So Corviknight going to come in. Pretty free defog. So uses up the booster energy for not much to show for it, as Raging Bolt comes in on the Ogerpon. Probably going to see an Ivy Cudgel here. No, we just see a Spikes go up. Okay, fair enough. Now we see Terra Dragon Draco into the Iron Treads. That is 74%, which is so much damage. But now can kind of threaten the rocks up. We might see a Corviknight come in, expecting that, which Donmus kind of predicts the Corviknight, goes for a Volt Switch, but it's a Darkrai instead, which still, you'll take that chip. Roaring Moon comes in, probably reveals to be Scarf. These guys just love Scarf Moon, huh? Yeah, you're going to see a U-turn into likely Helmet Corviknight, and there it is. See Goodra come in, threatening maybe like a Specs Fire Blast, maybe? Not really too sure. Yeah, Thunderbolt, same thing. As Landers pivots in. Going to be a pretty free U-turn here. Onto the Ogerpon switch, and now Raging Bolt going to get another Draco Meteor off, as Crest is going to be the one to take that one this time, but a Dragon Pulse instead of the Draco. Maybe in range of Draco if there's no Moonlight, so probably forced Moonlight here, as now Corviknight comes in for its defog opportunity, and Ogerpon going to take that as an opportunity to come in, threaten with a Ivy Cudgel, but Corviknight just going to U-turn. The Spike remains up, but Ogerpon takes a little bit of chip for it, and now Darkrai's in.
Let me take a second to reflect on how Dawn has terrored the Ogerpon and has not clicked Ivy Cudgel a single time. Yeah. And also the fact that K-Crick has Terra Dragoned his Raging Bolt. Now, what Terra type was that, Cresselia, mind you?
Was it Fairy? Probably was, right? It was,
yeah. Yeah.
What's up, Cinerat? Thank you for the membership. Appreciate that.
Like, if you're going to Terra Water the Ogerpon, I feel like you're doing that because you want to click the Cudgel button over and over again. But Dawn has done that just to click Spike, which doesn't really accomplish much.
Yeah. To be fair, he has taken a number of U-turns that would have done quite a lot more damage if he hadn't Terra'd, but at the same time, you do kind of want to just be clicking the Ivy Cudgel button a lot with that guy. Now, Hypnosis comes out.
Am I wrong to say that Fairy Crest sits on the whole team right now?
You're right.
Like,
you're right.
All right, I just, sort of put that out there in the universe.
Mm-hmm. The universe hears you.
I really love this. This is a great set, honestly.
Yeah, double status Nightshade Darkrai.
Because, like, so many times, like, the way that people get around Darkrai is through, like, defensive pivots. So having stuff like status and Nightshade to just get consistent damage into those targets is really, really effective in the right matchup. Yeah,
I was saying this earlier in the stream, but I really like this kind of Darkrai set versus, like, those Tinkaton teams that, like, are pretty popular. And here, like, into Goodra, into Ogerpon, Wellspring, obviously, into Roaring Moon, all these Pokemon that can kind of like take hits from Darkrai. I mean, Okidoki as well, but none of them like taking status. So yeah, really nice bring here. Corv gonna come in on the CC, does nothing because it's FizzDef Corv, obviously. Gonna take some Helmet, and now probably just gonna see a Roost here. I don't think you have time to defog right now, as Goodra is gonna make its way onto the field, threatening another T-Bolt potentially, but Corviknight stays in to go for the slow U-turn as we see a sub instead. Now Ninetales in, threatening an Encore here. I think Dawn should probably just switch here. Like, that Encore is just the most obvious Encore of all time, I think. But no.
Yeah. Like, come on, bro.
Yeah, yeah, grow a pair. Get a job, that sort of thing. Now, Corv comes in on the Cresselia. Probably going to be a defog opportunity. No. Keeps the spike up in exchange for a U-turn into Darkrai, threatening a Hypnosis here. I don't think anything's asleep at the moment, but Cresselia going to dodge that, go for a Moonblast. Does a big amount of damage to this Darkrai, but another chance to sleep.
If that Moonblast had a 1.5 boost from Terra on it, could you imagine?
Hold on, let me imagine it real quick. I'm thinking real hard. I'm imagining it. Damn, that's pretty good.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now a Taunt comes out, preventing the Moonlight on a potential Wake turn. But now I think it's just going to be a Nightshade. And yeah, Cresselia's going to wake up. T-Ball. Grow up, man. Grow up.
Is that even trying to catch?
The Corviknight?
But like, you heal on anyways?
Literally.
Like, what am I missing, bro? You're literally faster than it. You heal on it.
Yeah, maybe expecting the Ninetales to come in and try to go for an Encore.
Oh, I get it. You want a Thunderbolt to do 21% the Ninetales instead of doing 12 with Moonblast. I get it. Come on, bro.
Yeah. So.
And no heal? Well, I
was taunted.
You're taunted.
Yeah.
That's fucked.
Now I'm looking at this like, what can this Crest heal on? It's just the Corviknight.
It's just Corv. Yeah.
And that thing is going to be U-turning constantly. So it's really hard to find an opportunity to heal this guy up.
You have to uniquely find a way where you sack something that died to a move Corviknight click that wasn't U-turn. Spoilers, that'll never happen.
Or like Roaring Moon come in and click U-turn on the Corv itself, maybe?
Right.
Or maybe really like spike up 3 layers and then you eventually will force a defog, but Ogerpon's not healthy either. Alright, now Roaring Moon comes in on a Flare Blitz from Ninetales, so physical Ninetales does quite a lot of damage.
I mean, it makes sense, right? There's a Gudra, Hisui,
yeah.
And there's the Ogerpon, so like it's just a move that hits them harder generally.
Yeah, it could also be something like Foul Play to prevent like an SD Ogerpon from like setting up a Swords Dance and a Trailblaze on it. I guess Will-O-Wisp
kind of
does
the
that.
same thing, right?
Yeah, so does Wisp. I'm actually stupid.
Yeah.
My bad. But
nice, dude.
Yeah, don't mind me. Yeah, and here's that U-turn into Gudra. I think at this point, you're going to live with the spike up. As long as you can prevent the Crest from healing, you're totally chilling. Now here's an Earthquake from Landorus. Now, can Crest heal on this? Is this maybe Scarf Landorus? Who's to say? And we see a Moonlight, heals 67, it's faster than Landorus, takes a U-turn, but now this Crest is kind of back in business. With Leftovers, comes up to 51%, so totally usable Pokemon now. Donma's able to find the opportunity to heal it up, and now Ogerpon in on Ogerpon, potentially a speed tie, but not going to win that.
Dude. Huge value out of our Terra there.
Love that, awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, that spike up, kind of doing numbers right now. Now Okidoki comes in for the 2-hit KO. Never mind, freaking dies to the Thunderclap. I believe that is Specs, judging that it did 74 to the Iron Treads with Draco. Yeah. Probably. And we go for a Moonblast here. I think I probably would have preferred a Moonlight there, but really doesn't make a huge difference. You're getting Encore either way. Now, probably going to see a switch to Roaring Moon, right? But no. Stays into Moonblast, the AV Lando, which takes 13, by the way. Awesome. And that U-turn is doing enough damage to put it in range of Cornerstone, and now you can't really switch out now. Yeah, Cornerstone, going to wrap this one up. And that's going to be ZFG leading the series now 3-2, I believe. Yeah, 3-2. Because obviously Corviknight going to 1v1 this Roaring Moon, no matter what. There you go.
Yeah, this game was just rough. I mean, I think that K-Crick was just getting so many of the plays right in the early game sequences, like Encore on the substitute, things like that. But I really think a lot of this boiled down to just, I think, maybe an incorrect judgment call on Domus's part. Because I think, like, realistically, once the Ninetales goes down and you've confirmed the moveset on Ogerpon, Fairy Crest should be able to kind of just calm mind up, right? Obviously, you can get Hypnosis and Taunted by Darkrai, but a plus a Moonblast, as we saw, would have easily OHKO'd that thing if you were Terra Fairy. So there really wasn't a lot in terms of counterplay that K-Crick had once the Ninetales and Ogerpon are sorted out. So I
Yeah.
do think if he was a little bit more patient with the Terra button and just kind of conserved that, could have been really valuable for him.
For sure. All right, let's move on to the next one. Soggy Doggy Sage versus Habita. All right, ZFG up 3-2. And let's look at the Terras. We got Ghost Enam. I got Poison Lapras, the signature Terra Lapras from Soggy Doggy Sage. On the other side, we see a Terra Ghost Keldeo, and I believe a Terra Fire Salazzle as well.
Now,
And,
I don't want to.
and Terra Fire Conch. All three.
I wouldn't like to self-glaze or anything, but in the day before the game, Habita was like, "Bro, what Keldeo should I be?" And I said, "You need to be Ghost," because he was worried about Whirlpool Perish Trap on the Lapras. And I said, if Lapras comes to this game, look what you're playing. You're playing Aloe. You're playing other fat shit. I'm like, 100% that thing's going to be Whirlpool. So you got to have a way to get around that. Let's see what happens.
I mean, it could just be sub, right?
All right, dude. Yeah, just be lame. Sure. Just. All right. No, do your thing, L5. Do your thing.
Some people don't know. Sub actually breaks the trapping.
Oh, like if you go for sub while you're
trapped, it breaks the Whirlpool. Yeah.
I actually didn't know that.
That's why I said many people don't know.
But then you got to sacrifice your HP, which that doesn't.
You do,
feel great,
yeah.
Right.
Well,
Right.
it's better than getting trapped, right, forever.
I suppose.
All right, Lapras comes in on a T-Spike. Whoa. No T-Spike immunity, and there's the Whirlpool, like you were saying. So what is your response to this? Oh yeah, Terra Ghost, because you can't get trapped. Yeah, of course.
Yep.
Too tough.
Because like you can't, in good conscience, go into the Aloe because you'll just get trapped and freeze dry down. Right. That's not a play you can make. So something else has to be the initial pivot.
All right, Terra Ghost to just not switch out.
And like I don't remember what his reasoning for was protecting there. I genuinely don't.
I think he's just stupid. I don't think there's any reason to protect ever.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I thought maybe he doesn't realize he can switch.
Also,
he's trying
like,
to stall it out.
If she whirlpooled here again,
oh yeah, you're cooked. I think.
Aren't you fucked?
I think so. Yeah. Oh, it's a eject button. Never mind.
Oh, never mind. So even if you did, yeah, okay, smart play. The funny thing is here, he is forced to go for this knockoff because it's the only move, right? Like if Flower Trick was clicked, then Soggy can just pivot out into like Ogre Pond or something else. So he if he really wants to force progress, he kind of has to go for the knock.
And if you Flower Trick, it's like low key possible to Terra Poison, and then like the ice move will
freeze dry,
just about knock out the Meowscarada, and then you can absorb the T-Spikes later. And it's like a pretty high value Terra, despite it being like a low HP Lapras. It's about as high value as you can get in that situation.
Right.
But here, Ogremon gonna come out on the knockoff, absorb that, gonna go for Synthesis, heal that up, but now Salazzle finds its way on the field, and now time to let go of the Lapras. There it goes. Yeah, Salazzle kind of a threat right now, I'm not gonna lie. Faster than 4 more Pokemon remaining, and hits most of them for super effective damage.
Really strong.
Yeah.
Like it's just great stab to hit.
Here, Aloe able to get the slow flip turn, but at the cost of spikes going up. Meow in.
I believe this is Scarf Meow.
Yeah. If it was Banded, it would have killed the Lapras for sure. And now the Rocky Helmet, I mean, gonna put Meowscarada in range of just one more switch in of rocks. I guess spikes, same thing. Now, Ogre in on the Earthquake. Is this Scarf Lando? No, it's not. It's Custap. Interesting.
I believe it was like Endure Custap with rocks.
Yeah, it makes sense as like a Grand emergency check.
That or like an Enam emergency check too, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah. There's a lot of scary things that can snowball on Sage's team. But now it looks like Gren able to get up all 3 layers, which is going to be a lot of pressure on Habita. That Meowscarada is now dead unless you can get the defog off, which now the Conkeldurr looks like it is willing to do. So yeah, it gets rid of the T-Spike. It's kind of done its job at this point. And now rocks go up as an Earthquake, a little bit of HP trade here. But Jirachi gonna go for a Zen Headbutt, misses the Aloe. That doesn't really matter, I'll be honest. Yeah, there's a flinch anyway, so call it even. There's another flinch, call it more than even.
Call it even, or do we call it Jirachi? I mean, which is it? You tell me.
There's a Wish in the air. Lander is going to be the recipient of the Wish. No Ice Punch clicked, so Lander's going all the way back up to full, threatening an Earthquake. There's no like real immunity because obviously Enamorous, you don't want to risk that guy. Now Tuscan gets the speed booster. We're gonna see a bulk up potentially, yeah, because this is physical
sexy
Lando.
tech coming out here. Hold on, check this out.
Yeah. Bulk up again on the Conch. Grass knot
Boom.
Conkelder. Oh
Yep.
my god. Headlong
Fizz Def with
does
helmet.
knock it out, but yeah, the greatest defensive item ever. Rocky Helmet, gonna chip this thing a little bit lower.
Shoutouts.
Got farm up some regen, it looks like.
Yeah, he wanted to get extra regen.
Yeah,
help,
and
which
the defense
just,
drop.
just for insurance versus Gren. Well, he didn't need the defense drop since he had Scarf Flower Trick. The problem is like he wanted the aloe like healthier going into this end game basically.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, you don't
that was his
need-
thought process. Right.
With
But
a
also the
citrus
defense drop
berry?
does mean he can go for the player off instead of going for Flower Trick, which would give you an easier setup than Amorous. So I get it.
That does so much damage. Now this Amorous is really low. Do we see Aqua Jet on the aloe? Looks like we don't. Lander's going to be forced to take that hit, but it is going to take the hit. Goes for a Rock Slide, covers the non-Terra. Now Gren versus the World. Looks like Lander's going to get sacked off to the Extra Sensory, but it's not Battle Bond, so no real threat of a sweep here, unless maybe Extra Sensory flinch. Okay, we see a Healing Wish into Keldeo, and it looks like Keldeo should be able to wrap this one up. Yeah, protect for some lefties, it looks like. No reason not to. And then, yeah,
Yeah,
just
basically
don't
you
get
need to
flinched.
flinch. You need to flinch Keldeo like 2 or 3 times,
Yeah, yeah.
whereas with Aloe, you only got to flinch it like
That makes sense.
once. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the H-Wish was pretty smart there.
Yep. All right. So that's going to be, again, tying up the series. Now, bad news, guys. I might have to leave very soon. So I don't think we can finish up this series today. And, yeah. Unlucky. I was hoping this would go a little bit faster. But also,
This game?
I was trying to wait for you at the same time. So,
my bad, guys.
It's all
Sorry,
your
guys.
fault. Yep.
It's just Glopp's fault that
Yep.
the stream didn't run according to schedule. My bad, guys.
Yeah.
Sorry,
unfortunately,
I'm
I do
actually the
have
one
to
pulling
dip.
strings. Can we do this game, or you got to go right now?
I really got to go right now. I'm not gonna lie,
Shit.
because
This is a
people
masterclass.
are expecting me somewhere at 6:15, and it's 5:57. So I do have to. I have to dip.
We shall wrap this up another time.
Yeah, maybe tomorrow, maybe another time. We'll see.
I'm off tomorrow. Just let me know.
All right. I have
All
work
right,
tomorrow in
adios.
the afternoon to evening, so might be a little bit of a morning stream for the PST folk. All right. Anyways, thanks so much for watching, everyone. If you could leave a like on the stream, I would appreciate that a lot. We will be here tomorrow to finish up the coverage of these semifinal games. Potentially maybe some tie breaks. You know, if you're paying attention, you'll see we didn't have a stream last week. Potentially this is going to tie breaks. I don't know. It's 3-3. It could happen. And fortunately, actually, I don't need to make another thumbnail because this game was the thumbnail game. So I get to just recycle that one for the next stream. That's totally awesome. Yeah, you do not want to miss this game. I swear this one's so funny. But yeah. Anyways, that's going to be it for me. Thanks for watching. Thanks, Glopp, for joining. And I'll see you
Anytime.
tomorrow. Peace.